Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Mistakes were made. Oh no. It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. Hello. This is embarrassing. Time, it's time. It's Hello. Hello. I have excuses. I don't know if you want to hear them, but I do have excuses. Uh Hello, Kingwin. Hello, Arctelos. Hello, Water Knight. Hello, Tyler. Hello, everybody. Okay. So here's my oh gosh. Now, and of course my cat decides it's time to yell. You know how it is. Okay. So here's what happened. I was hiding nothing. In fact, I even thought that I had gone live before I actually did. I think the live connection got really laggy, so I clicked go live and it didn't go live. And then I clicked go live again when I realized I wasn't live. And that was the second when the lag finally kicked in and it went live, so it like immediately ended the broadcast. Ah. I'm sorry. It's my fault, but it's not my fault. Double live method, hiding nothing. That sounds like somebody's. You know, I mean, we are reading about conspiracy theories today, so maybe I don't know. That feels like a good stream to like be sketchy on. Maybe if anything, to hide something on. I do need to delete that VOD. It's so live it dead. That sounds about right, honestly. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. I'm sorry for the scuff. I'm sorry for the scuff. It's been a while since I've had appreciable scuff, so maybe this is okay. Maybe, you know what, I was due for some scuff, and we've gotten it out of the way now, and hopefully Saturday will be okay. Speaking of Saturday. Speaking of Saturday, I should have prepared this, but then I didn't. I'm doing a thing on Saturday. I'm doing a thing. I am participating in a charity event to benefit Hope for the Day. Let me see if I can put this poster up here, or like the thing. Yes, that seems like an important thing. I'm participating in like a fundraiser. A fundraiser, I think, is the better word for it, for Hope for the Day, as part of Team Basal Ganglia. Oh, hello, Heater! Heat Res, welcome. But yeah, I'm participating in a fundraiser as part of Team Basal Ganglia on Saturday. This will be at 9 a.m. Eastern, and I am not a morning person, so it will be bad. We are going to be, finally I can send you money without you breaking down. I don't know if I even want to have like my own link for the Tiltify, because I don't want to know. I don't know if I want to know. But yeah, Hope for the Day is a wonderful thing. It's about mental health. It's a group that does stuff for like mental health awareness and suicide prevention and things like that. I'm going to be on a team with Captain Beezy, who is our team captain, Sai, and Horatius the Dwarf. We are going to be playing Pico Park in a tournament style thing, and it's going to be, we're gonna get our butts kicked. I've never played Pico Park, which is one of the reasons we're gonna get our butts kicked, but it is my understanding that Pico Park is a cooperative game. I have never played a cooperative game. I have never played Pico Park. No one on my team, no one, not a one of us, not Captain Beezy, not Sai, not me, not Horatius, none of us have played Pico Park before. I don't even know how many of us even have it installed on our computers yet. I just installed it, like, just before this stream. So it's gonna go horribly. We're gonna crash and burn. Captain Beezy and I are both not morning people, and it's going to be an early morning stream for us, first thing on a Saturday. Also, it's a cooperative game that requires communication, and out of the 3 other members of our team, I've only ever talked to Sai. I've never really spoken to Captain Beezy or Horatius the Dwarf. And I don't think Captain Beezy and Horatius have really talked to each other either, so Sai is the only one who's talked to all of us. We're going to crash and burn hard. So if you want to show up for a good cause and watch me and my teammates get utterly destroyed and have a minor breakdown, tune in. Join us. Anyway, all right, let's hide that for now. So, just to remind you what we're doing today. What we're doing today is we are going to try and finish. Oh, hey, Elgaz, welcome. Sounds like a great time. It should be a great time. I hope even if I'm miserable the whole time, which I don't think I will be, they're all lovely people. But even if I'm miserable the whole time, I hope that it is entertaining, and I suspect that it will be, because all of us are going to be terribly stressed out and confused and lost, and that's always fun to watch, frankly. It's my understanding that some of you very much like seeing me get flustered, and it sounds like that's what the Saturday morning cartoons are going to be this Saturday, so yeah. Anyway, okay, so what are we doing today? We are going to try and finish reading the paper that we started reading last time, which should be we're about halfway through, see? And that's not counting the reference section. So we're over halfway through, even counting the reference section. So I think we should be able to finish it today. What was this paper about, if you're curious? This was a wonderful paper from 2022. This first author, Joe Uscinski, and then Adam Enders, Casey Klofstad, these three are sharing first author status, and then we have Michelle Seelig, Hugo Drochon, Kamal Premaratne, and Manohar Murthi. And this is a paper called Have Beliefs and Conspiracy Theories Increase Over Time? So the introduction was basically them saying, hey, look, like conspiracy theories, these are a thing. And there's been a lot of discussion in the news media, in academia, in like just lay people saying that belief in conspiracy theories and conspiracy theories themselves have become more common. People have been referring to like the current time period as like the golden age of conspiracy theories or whatever. And we know that, why is this highlighted? Must have done a weird highlight thing. We know that last time Joe Uscinski did this with other people, other researchers, but back in 2011, he did this study that looked at America for a 200-year period, and he found no evidence that like the base rate of conspiracy theories really changed all that much over that 200-year period. But of course, that was until 2011, and we've really been starting to talk about conspiracy theories like really exploding starting in like 2016, and especially around 2020 during the pandemic. So I think this was kind of like just, yeah, like we know that over that period conspiracy belief didn't increase, but now everybody's saying it is, so let's see if it has increased since we last did a thing. So last time we read study 1, and study 1 was a study in the US, and it took a whole bunch of 46 conspiracy theories. It took 46 different conspiracy theories and looked at whether belief in them had increased or decreased over time. Hiya, Mylan. Why am I saying hi to myself? Hi, Astral. How you doing? Welcome to the stream. But yeah, it looked over 46 conspiracy theories to see if belief in them had increased over time to sort of, like go along with this lay belief that belief in conspiracy theories has increased over time. And it found that for those 46 conspiracy theories that they looked at, I believe only one of the 46 actually saw a significant increase in belief. 16 didn't change, and 17 belief in them actually went down. So contrary to the popular statement that we're living in a golden age of conspiracy theories and stuff like that, the data doesn't, in study 1 at least in America, does not seem to support that. If anything, it kind of looked like belief in the 46 conspiracy theories that they looked at was either staying the same or going down for the most part. So that was study 1. But of course, America is not the only country in the world. I know, absolutely shocking. Me being an American, acknowledging that other countries exist. What the hell? What is happening in here? And of Uscinski's original study in 2011 that he did with Parent, and I think there might have been one other person on that study, they found they were also only looked at America. So we know, conspiracy theory researchers, we have long since established that just about every society that we've ever looked at has some form of conspiracy theories in it. Even hunter-gatherer societies display some form of conspiracy theories. I know, right, Tyler? Other countries exist. It's incredible. The only nation I recognize. What is happening? So yeah, it's like we know that this is not an American phenomenon. So they wanted to say, okay, so we found that there hasn't been an increase in conspiracy belief in America, but what about some other countries? So study 2, which we're about to read, is looking at other countries to see if their conspiracy belief is raised. I believe the vast majority of these countries in study 2 are what we call weird countries in social sciences. Weird being an acronym that stands for Western, educated, industrialized, rich, and democratic. Most, but not all, of the one in the sample fall under that category. So they're not like representative of the typical if I don't know if a typical country exists in the world. Every country has their own idiosyncrasies. Every culture has their own idiosyncrasies, but like at least all these are fairly similar in the grand scheme of things to an extent. I'm sure that if I said that and like people from that country and culture were in the chat, which I know that some people from these countries are in the chat, don't at me. Don't like jump. Like I know that they're different and they have distinct cultures and histories and things like that, but like in the grand scheme of all the countries in the world, they're in a geographically similar location. A lot of their like histories are pretty intertwined and stuff like that. Tyler, that's fair. That's fair. Hey Elijah, welcome, welcome. So yeah, that's the plan for today. We're going to read study 2 that is looking at some other countries to see if they can replicate the results that they found in America in study 1. Is it possible that conspiracy belief has stayed steady in America but has actually increased in other countries, and that's why we feel like conspiracy belief has gone up overall? Because, you know, we live in an international society these days. The internet allows us to interact with people from all over the world. Maybe it feels like conspiracy belief is going up, not because it's going up in America, but because it's going up in other places, and we're just kind of seeing that. I'm making stuff up, like, as kind of, like, a reason. I think they were just trying to see if this finding in America works in other countries. I don't think that's kind of the logic they were using. They're just like, okay, we found it in America, but America isn't the only place that exists. What about other places? Because they matter too. Yeah. So there's your summary of last time, and leading into what we're reading today. So here we go. Conspiracy theory beliefs across cultures. Who's excited? I'm excited. I'm excited. I love multicultural studies. 4 Western Europe and 2 Eastern. Yeah, like I said, it's not exactly like the most diverse sample of countries, but at the same time, this is a vast improvement over just looking at America. Internet lets people find their echo chambers more easily. Yeah, that too. Heck, Facebook practically, a lot of social media practically funnel you into their echo chambers. There was a while back when Twitter was still called Twitter by everybody and not just stubborn people like me, when they're trying to take measures to prevent the spread of misinformation. And misinformation and disinformation really thrive in echo chambers. Echo chambers being places where everybody has the same or highly similar opinions, and they're all just like reinforcing each other's beliefs. And so what they tried to do to reduce the spread of misinformation and disinformation and sort of like try and reduce like how appealing it was, or like make it easier for people to counteract that, or like hear a diversity of opinions, was they actually tried to tweak the algorithm so it showed you people outside of your echo chamber. And Twitter users hated that. They hated it so much that many people were like threatening to stop using Twitter because it was just like, what if we just took you out of your echo chambers? And they were pissed. They wanted to stay in those echo chambers so bad. And like, I get it. I understand both sides of the argument. As somebody who studies stuff that's related to misinformation, I completely understand wanting to reduce the spread of misinformation and allow like a diversity of pieces of information to flow freely between groups. On the other hand, I also completely understand not wanting to see, like, you know, it's no secret that like I'm non-binary. And I completely understand wanting to be on social media without getting like people saying that I'm mentally ill and just like shouting insults and stuff at me, just like, and people like me just hurled at me by the algorithm. So like I see both sides of the argument there. Lucky I Yeah, luckily I never used it. I resisted Twitter for the longest time, which it doesn't feel like it, because I've been on Twitter since probably 2010, which is a very, very long period of time, obviously. That's 16 years now. I've been on Twitter for 16 years, but at the time, I refused to use Twitter. I only hopped on it because I had a friend who was going through a really rough time, and the only way I could keep tabs on her was following her Twitter. And so I made a Twitter solely for that, and then things kind of fell out of control. But I've really gone away from Twitter. Like, I mostly use Blue Sky these days, so I didn't even post this stream announcement on Twitter. It's all Blue Sky for me. I used Twitter back when you actually used your phone to text it and had the character limit. I remember that! I also used Twitter back then. That was fun. That's more than 75. Astral, please have mercy on my poor elderly soul. Hey, CDM, how you doing? How you doing? Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the stream. We're 16 minutes in and I haven't started. I've never really had Twitter. That's probably for the... I mean, everybody... No, I shouldn't say that. There are some people who just don't... There's a shockingly large number of people who just straight up don't use social media. Wait, it doesn't... It still has a character limit. They just doubled the character limit. The old character limit was 140 characters. The current character limit is 280 characters. But if you pay for Twitter, I believe you can just... There's either a much bigger character limit or there's no character limit. I honestly don't know how Twitter works nowadays. Yeah, I largely avoid it. It's just hard because most of my VTuber friends and a lot of the VTuber community are still on Twitter. So, like, I'll retweet stuff on Twitter, but I've taken to just posting stuff on Blue Sky if I'm making original posts, you know? Yeah, the dollar-based character limit. Yeah, it has a limit, but you can pay to get rid. Yeah. I used Twitter for a long time, but left when the limits was still 180 characters. So yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while since you left. I remember the change. It was weird. It was like, oh my gosh, they've released our shackles, and then yeah, I don't know. Bird cousin, hello, welcome back. Dark Rays and Music. I can talk, I swear. Welcome back. Welcome back, Dark Raven Music. Happy to have you. What do you think about the current situation on Discord? Like the age verification stuff? Like that stuff? The ID stuff? I'm not like an expert in cybersecurity or anything like that. Back in my day, it was limited to how many characters you could send over the SMS protocol. Shakes Vicious guy, I feel you. I feel you, Kingwin. Yeah. The Twitter age, or the Discord age verification, I have complicated feelings about this push towards age verification lately. I think I understand, because, like, frankly, asking people to verify that they are over 13 or over 16 or over 18 when they join any website has never worked. Like, when I was way back in the day before social media was even a thing, I was already lying about my birthday to get onto websites I wasn't old enough to be on. So, like, that's not gonna be enough to keep kids out of spaces where they're not supposed to be. The age verification thing, on the other hand, though, I think is a massive privacy concern. I'm deeply concerned about the privacy implications of it, and particularly with Discord, I worry, because we already know they've already had a major leak where they leaked a whole bunch of users' IDs, if I remember correctly. Like, they already have a bad track record. My birthday's January 1st, 1899. Exactly, Elijah, I totally agree. My birthday is also January 1st, 1970. I'm kidding, we all know well, I never told you my birth year, but my birthday, of course, is November 15th. But I understand the spirit of it. Is that called the Epoch? Epoch? Am I pronouncing that right? I forget how to pronounce it. Happy birthday, thank you. I always use 1994. Oh, Astral. I think I usually used, like, 19... 87? I don't remember exactly what I used. But like I think what we need to do again, I think the main problem, honestly, with the internet is that the internet when I was younger, back in my day, epoch or epoch. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, back in my day, on the internet, we had children's spaces and adult spaces. The bite of 87. Oops. But like back in the day, we had things like, you would have Neopets and Hamster Dance and like I don't know, like websites that were specifically targeted at children, and that's where the kids went. They would go to those spaces. And then you would have websites that were specifically intended for adults that I don't know what they were because I was a child. And Club Penguin, yeah, Club Penguin was a little after my time. I was older before, I was too old for Club Penguin by the time it came out, I think. I'm not 100%, but like, you have a hotel, yeah, yeah. Yeah, but there used to be a much greater divide between children's spaces online and adult spaces online. And I think that was good. Like, would it have kept children out of adult spaces entirely? Almost certainly not. But now we have kind of a more centralized internet where you have these like social media sites that are in like to some degree there is generational sorting on social media sites. Like younger people are more like on things like Snapchat and Instagram. Older people, or well, people my age are more on places like Twitter and Blue Sky and things like that. People my parents' age are almost exclusively on Facebook. And I've recently learned from Sai that this also varies by the country that you're in. Apparently, a lot of people in Ireland are on Facebook. I don't know. And I guess my generation's also on Reddit as well and things like that. So like there is to some degree some self-sorting, but it's not like there are not websites that are specifically intended for certain demographics. So we're seeing a lot more mixing on the internet than we used to, and there's also the problem of the accessibility of the internet. Kingwin, it's the same for me. My real birth year is also older than Astral's fake birth year. Yeah, that's all the problems of the internet forums getting consolidated into a future. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about, Arctelos. Like it used to be much more distributed. Now it's more centralized, so a whole bunch of people are more mixed in than they ever were before, and people and demographics that were never really mixed in before, interacting with each other before are, and I think that is an issue, particularly when you're talking about kids. And I don't really know how to deal with it. Like, back in my day, again, it was harder for kids to get into trouble online simply because there was a lot less, it was a lot harder to access the internet. My back has been sore for the last 3 days for no good reason. I think you know what the reason is. I think it has something to do with your birth year, probably. LinkedIn still has my dead name. Oh, no. Oh, I hate LinkedIn so much. I left all my social media and I'll probably leave Discord too if I need to. My problem is a lot of my friends are on like online only or long distance friends, so it makes it hard. But like, yeah, it's the modem problem. You could only have one person using the internet in the house at the time. And like in my family, we only had one computer for everybody in the household until I was like in my junior or senior year of high school, which meant that me and my sister simply did not have as much time to get in trouble online. We did not have phones that could access the internet until I was probably in my sophomore year of college. Like, the first phone that could access the internet that was wildly commercially available didn't come out until late high school for me. So, like, I'm going way off track. Like, I guess the answer to the question is I have complicated feelings about it. I don't think that this is the way to deal with the problem, but I agree that the problem is also more of a problem than it has ever been before. And I'm not really sure what we could do about that, but I do not think that what Discord is trying to do right now is a good way to deal with that. Especially because of the privacy concerns. Hey, Dorg, how you doing? Let's see. Apparently we do not know where the word spry comes from. It just appeared in the 1750s. I love etymology and like linguistics and stuff like that. It's so fun. I am old. 3G was groundbreaking technology back then. It was, it was. I wanted to access websites that my parents didn't want. I had to sneak across the house at 2 a.m. Yeah. For me, it was like if I wanted to use the internet for more than 30 minutes or for more than an hour a day, I had to wake up at like 3 a.m. and sneak into the computer room because back in the day, the computer had its own room. Like, you know, and I remember iPhones and first gen Droid phones coming out in high school. Kingwin, we're probably roughly around the same age then. Yeah. 3G was the old slow one for me as a kid. Oh, Astral, you keep reminding me how young you are and how old I am. Fun times. Anyway, we should probably read the paper. We should probably read the paper. But yeah, complicated issue, something, blah, 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 blah. Something needs to happen to make the internet safer for kids. Do I think that the current things that are happening in an attempt to make the internet safer for kids are the right way to go about it? No. Do I know the right way to go about it? No. Outside of, you know, like, I think parents need to be engaging in closer supervision of what their kids are doing online, of course. And I think we really should be restricting internet use in people below, like, not eliminating internet use for people below certain ages. I think that, like, you need to learn to use the internet in today's day and age, but I think it should be restricted in terms of, like, whether that's in terms of the sites they can visit or whether that's in terms of just the overall amount of screen time they get or whatever it is. Yeah. I think we must be pretty close. There are a few internet-capable cell phones available when I was in middle school, but they weren't common or very good. Yeah, I don't remember if there were any. I was not aware of any available in, like, the first iPhone, the very first iPhone that could access the internet came out when I was in late high school. Government-mandated Club Penguin. I do think that we need more child-focused websites to come back. We really need that to come back, and not, like, monetized ones. We need, like, yeah, I don't know. Kids these days didn't grow up playing Huda Math shows. Hey, Mar, Chatron, welcome. Bring back dial-up modems. Kingwin, I have a student in one of my classes whose ringtone is the dial-up modem sound, and I cannot tell you the physiological response I have every time I hear it. It is so... nobody wants to teach kids net safety anymore. They just want to put bumpers on everything. Yeah, Arctelos, I think that's another problem. Oh, hey, Maury, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here. We haven't actually gotten back to the paper yet. I like, described what we talked about last time in the paper, and, like, it started trying to introduce the new paper, and then we got driven right off track because somebody asked me how I felt about Discord's age verification stuff. And then I just started going on this long tangent, and then all of us, like, half of chat is like, oh, we're so old, and the other half of chat is like, haha, I'm young. And that's where we're at. That's what you missed. If I've been taxed to pay for Club Penguin subsidies, I will be content. You know what? Yeah, I'd be willing to do that. I would be willing to pay slightly more in taxes so that all the kids can play around on Neopets all day. Parents should have a phone or tablet in kids' hands to shut them up, period. Hard agree. Like, I am deeply... I'm terminally online. Somebody once tried to correct me to say that I'm chronically online, and I'm like, no, I'm not chronically online. I am terminally online. I will be like this until the day I die, and even then, I heartily agree with you. I've never had or seen any dial-up modem. You live a happier life for that, Elijah. You really do. All the times when, like, I'd be online and my mom would be like, you need to turn off the internet because I need to make a phone call. Or the phone would ring and it would just kick me offline. We're just reminiscing about when the internet was much better. No rose some parts of it were worse. Some parts of it were objectively worse, but some parts were definitely better. I hated RSS feeds so much. I don't like using RSS feeds at all. Oh, I thought that was related to conspiracy theories. No, this wasn't a conspiracy theory. You could absolutely make a great conspiracy theory out of this, like, topic, though. You absolutely could. And honestly, I think I might believe a few conspiracy theories related to this topic, but I'm not gonna share them because, yeah. Hey, Hair Day, how you doing? Back in my day, we told kids internet strangers would kidnap them. Now we use the internet to summon strangers to take us places. Right, Hair Day? When I was a kid, my parents and the news, it was like the news, my parents, my teachers, everybody was constantly telling me that if I ever gave the slightest hint of maybe even like what country I lived in online, somebody would immediately that night show up in my bedroom and kill me. Like that was drilled into me from a very young age, like multiple times a day. And we just don't do that anymore. Now we're just like, yes, stranger, I've never met you before, but you can drive me wherever. We live in such strange times. Hey, Xeno Time, how you doing? How you doing? I remember finding a website that would like simulate a dial-up modem and all the funny beep noises. Oh my gosh. That's why I've heard so many people stan RSS. There are people who stan RSS, and I don't like those people. No, that's a joke. Some people like RSS. I don't. Oh, I miss DeviantArt and LiveJournal. I miss the heyday of DeviantArt. It was pretty nice. I miss having like a centralized art website. You know? Like, I really miss that. I miss having a centralized art website that was about art, you know? That was super fun. LiveJournal, I tried to move to Dreamwidth after LiveJournal shut down, and I just don't like Dreamwidth. On a semi-serious note, I think we've kind of gotten comfortable with the internet being everywhere and lost respect for it. I agree, Kingwin. I agree. We've kind of resigned ourselves to it, I would also say. Yeah, yep, doxed myself last night waiting for Eggy to kidnap me now. It's only a matter of time until Psy and Phi show up at my door. They were like, if you post a photo from internet detectives will find your school from hints in the background. I mean, that's totally possible. Shit like stranger things or wilder things have happened. My personal conspiracy theory is that the world did end in 2012 and we're just living in purgatory. That's weirdly comforting somehow. It's weird we also moved past the ASL phase as far as I'm aware. It just became a standard thing everywhere. Aw. Every school needs a GeoGuessr expert to show up for a day and talk to kids about how much information is contained in the pictures they share. Agree. And somebody who's really good at metadata as well. That too. I did accidentally give Psy my home address. Yeah. I intentionally gave several people my home address. But they gave me theirs too, so it's mutually assured destruction. I like Torg's idea where I can hire a GeoGuessr expert for my city's... Maury, you should see if you can do that. That's a good idea. Like, get, what's his name, Rainbolt or whatever? Get Rainbolt to, like, give a remote talk at your school about, like, internet safety in terms of, like, the photos you post and stuff like that. Mutual kidnapping, yeah. What happens if you mutually kidnap? I feel like you can't take them back to your place in a kidnapping if it's mutually kidnapping, and they can't take you back to their place if it's mutually kidnapping. I think you just need to go together to a third location. I got trained on electron microscopes, and the website is for like reserving time and stuff. Looks like it was made in 2002, and it's weirdly nostalgic and comfy today. That's called a date. That's just running away. Isn't that just called eloping? I like how 2 out of 3 of you decided that this was in a romantic context. and then Maury of all people is the only one who's not like, it's a date, it's eloping. Maury of all people says it's running away. Yeah, one day, Sci-Fi and I are all just gonna show up in the same place. Why not? Well, I can grab Z too, why not? Maybe grab Nep as well. And we're just all going to, like, I don't know, go to the moon or something. Why not? Let's go to the moon. Could be fun. Could be fun to go together. Okay, anyway, let's read the paper. Let's read the that's what we're here for. Oh my god, it's been half an hour. So I hate it because it won't accept the funding code for Robotics Club, and I'm stuck in email chains that seem intent on challenging Sweden to, oh no. Y'all should go on a road trip on tour. That sounds like fun. You want to come with, Maury? It's dangerous to eat sliced bologna I accidentally left outside the Probably? I don't eat much meat, so I don't know, but I would suspect that that's dangerous. Now with Zassa's track record, oh no. Conspiracy podcast off collab. Oh my god, I would love that. I would love nothing more than that. V-Theorem moon mission? Why not? V-Theorem battle royale at the Coliseum. I am constantly challenging everybody to fight, so why not? Why not? It could be fun. Oh, good for Zassa. Good for Zassa. Okay, but let's read, okay? We're on study 2. This is where we're actually doing cross-cultural stuff. Mutual Kidnapping is a Pixar movie where two characters who don't get along get into a fight and end up lost somewhere and neither of them have experience in Torg. That just feels like a fanfic. That just sounds like some kind of fanfic trope, Torg. V-Theorem meetup in Rome? Why not? Let's go to Rome. Let's meet up in the middle of the Colosseum. Yeah, the paper does specifically mention Sweden. It's called Toy Story and Inside Out. You're right. Enemies to lovers. There was only one bed. Anyway, I keep reminding myself there's a non-zero chance that the authors of this paper will see this VOD or stream at some point. That's already happened to me once. I need to lock in and stop being so silly and saying things that would mortify me if they saw this. Alright, so examined whether the findings outlined in Study 1 are confined to the US, so cross-cultural replication to see if there is that going on. Like, they found no relationship, or no increase in conspiracy belief and conspiracy theories over time in the US. They're looking to see if that's also true in other cultures. Oh, YouGov! I would love to work for YouGov. They're like a polling agency. I didn't know they did international stuff. Oh, that's neat. That's neat. Maybe I just don't know enough about YouGov. I would love to work for them, though. YouGov, do you want to hire me? They're probably not. I think their funding has been cut a lot lately. Xenotime, I'm sorry. I do not speak Swedish. I don't. I'm pretty sure that's Swedish. I want to see where they draw the line between North-South and East-West, or if they believe the myth of Central Europe. I had a YouGov pen at some point. Oh, I'm jealous. I want a YouGov pen. I have a Sona Systems kazoo. Last year they had Sona Systems hot sauce. I hope they have it this year at the conference. I want to grab some Sona Systems hot sauce. Sona Systems, YouGov getting a VTuber mascot that also does statistics. Hey YouGov! Hey YouGov, I'll be your mascot! I'm disappointed. It just says, I like Sweden, so don't worry. Oh, nice. Okay. We polled beliefs about 6 conspiracy theories across 6 European countries. Both in 2016 and 2018. So they were the ones behind this specifically. 2016 and 2018. So this is before the COVID pandemics, as a note. Did you hear the VTuber summer schools in Japan being set up? I did! I think Maury actually sent me that article. Like, Maury sent me that article, and I sent it to the rest of V-Theorem, and then shortly after, Sai actually, independently, also, like, retweeted that article or something like that. Like, all of us somehow simultaneously became aware of this. It's so cool. That is really neat. Sorry, I'm taking notes. So, study 2, 6 countries. Time 1 was 2016. Time 2 was 2018. So I wonder if that still falls inside the time period that we're calling the golden age of conspiracy theories. I'm sure different people would define that time period differently. Anyway, I cannot look at H2 and not see hydrogen. How does hydrogen gas make people believe in conspiracy theories? Maybe they're giving us hydrogen gas to make us all docile so that they can do weird, I don't know, so that they can control us or something. I don't know. So hypothesis 2, the proportion of people believing specific conspiracy theories in Germany, Great Britain, Italy, Poland, Portugal, and Sweden has increased over time. So it's essentially the same as hypothesis 1, they're just using a different, like, hypothesis 1 is just specifically in America, hypothesis 2 is in these other countries. These countries were chosen because they vary in gross domestic product, so GDP, population, income equality, political systems, and location within Europe, north, south, east, west. Yeah, I did wonder how they define this. I would know less about that than some of y'all, though. But, so basically they're saying, yes, these countries are all in Europe, but they do have important differences in them. You know what else has H2? Water! They make us drink it to make it us docile. It's true. It's true. Please drink water. Please drink water. Drinking water is important. Stay hydrated. Speaking of, there we go. Okay. All of which may impact belief in conspiracy theories. Yeah, there's currently evidence that cultural differences and just general differences of like cultural context and things like that, and like the amount of resources you have, whether you are your country is currently in a conflict with another country and stuff like that, or like the political situation in your country, all of these things have been shown to be related to belief in conspiracy theories. So it makes sense that they want to look at various places with different things. So far, no claims of Central Europe existing. Yay. All right. But potentially different tests of this. So basically they're saying we're looking at a diverse array of countries, though to be fair, they're all still in Europe, but we are looking at countries with different characteristics that may or may not make this pattern more or less likely. Surveys utilized here meet the specifications laid out in study 1, asking conspiracy theory questions the same way. So this is a cross-cultural study, not an ethnographic study. Cross-cultural in that they're phrasing the questions the exact same way across all the countries, translated, of course, but, you know. This reminds me of the conspiracy theory about Finland not being a real country. That sounds like North Dakota. Sometimes people joke that North Dakota doesn't actually exist. You, like, enter you drive up out of South Dakota, and then you enter a fog, and then you come out the other end into Canada. Like, the Eastern European countries often don't like being called Eastern Europe, so they all make up I see. Have you ever met a Finnish person? Surely I have. Surely. Surely I've met a Finnish person. I think I've met people from just about every other Scandinavian country. Surely I've met a Finnish person. Surely. I'm having a moment. I'm gonna have a crisis. I'm gonna get back to the paper to try and help me deal with this crisis. So Poland goes, no, we're Central Europe. Estonia goes, knows we are Nordic. Slovenia, no, we're North Balkans. Not realizing the label of Balkans is much worse. Worse in what way? Oh, is it? I always get confused what counts as Nordic versus Scandinavian. I keep getting them mixed up in my head. This is the problem with being American. Like, worse isn't reputation. That's kind of, yeah. Finland is okay, Finland is Nordic or Baltic? I mean, I guess, like, parts of Finland are closer to the Nordic sort of region, and other parts of Finland are closer to the Baltic region, as my understanding, but, like, I don't... Is Finland real? I think so. I'm sweating now. Scandinavia, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, Iceland. That makes sense, yeah. Okay. What is happening? What is happening? It's close ties to the Baltics, but not really. What am I? I don't know. I don't know what's happening anymore. I don't know what's happening. I'm gonna keep reading the paper because I'm confused. I'm just a tiny. I'm just a little guy. I'm just a little guy, and it's my birthday, and I'm American, and I sometimes Finland. That is comforting. Estonia's just, oh my god. Okay. Happy, thanks, UCD. It's not actually my birthday. I was just quoting that, like, I'm just a little guy and it's my birthday. You wouldn't punch a little guy on his birthday. You wouldn't confuse a tiny American cryptid on their not birthday. Please have mercy upon me. Yeah, Uralic is better classification than Baltic for Finland. I see. It's not my birthday. Happy unbirthday. Thank you, CDM. Okay. Surveys national samples. So I think that means nationally representative, if I remember, at least twice. So they have time 1 and time 2, so they can look at change over. Not the Lutefisk, please, not the Lutefisk. Have mercy. Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, or Baltic. Yes, yeah. Okay, anyway. These surveys also provide adequate time frame for detecting growth, 2 years. You're another year older now, whether you like it or not. Every day I'm another year older. Age is a continuous variable, not a discrete one. I'm another year older every second. relative to seconds. Time passing. Time path. Lutefisk is just fish gelatin. I know it's fish gelatin, but I don't like that. Okay, anyway. Range of conspiracy. Oh, we get to see the conspiracy theories now, everybody. Okay, let's keep reading because I really want to see the conspiracy theories that they're using. Spanning 5 categories identified by Brotherton, French, and Pickering. So this is one that they've cited before. I really need to reread this paper. I've read it before, but I don't remember them creating categories, but it's been a while. Respondents were asked to select which of the following statements, if any, they believe. So I'm guessing this is a binary variable, though. Then it's belief, yes, no. And then it's not a continuous, it's not how much you believe it, it's just do you believe it, yes, no. Which means they have less variability to work with and therefore less statistical power to test this. I mean, well, they should tell us our sample sizes soon. I hope. Humans have made contact with aliens, and this fact has been deliberately hidden from the public. So we talked about this last time, but the humans made contact with aliens is not a conspiracy theory. It's specifically and this fact has been deliberately hidden from the public. That part is what makes it a conspiracy theory. Boolean value, exactly, CDM. It's a Boolean value. It's a true-false. It is a binary outcome. The AIDS virus was created and spread around the world on purpose by a secret group or organization. Regardless of who is officially in charge of the government and other organizations, there is a single group of people who secretly control events and rule the world together. The official account of the Holocaust is a lie, and the number of Jews killed by the Nazis during World War II has been exaggerated on purpose. Oh, they didn't do this in the German sample. Probably. I'm sure there's various reasons for that. The idea of man-made global warming is a hoax that was intended to deceive people. The government is deliberately hiding the truth about how many immigrants really live in this country. You know what's interesting, actually, that I noticed in cross-cultural research and conspiracy theories? Like, I read a paper that was comparing an American sample to a Japanese sample, and actually a lot of the most popular conspiracy theories they identified in Japan were American conspiracy theories. It was weird to me. I have had some friends in Japan before. I have had some friends in Japan before who, like, I kind of, like, distanced myself from them because they started spouting out conspiracy theories about the American government. Not, like, the American government's coming after Japan, but more like the kind of conspiracy theories you'd expect an American to say. It was weird. Yeah, it was a very strange time. I'm like, why do you believe conspiracy theories about internal matters of my country? That feels kind of weird. There was some, like, things that connected it to, like, Japanese identity and international politics, but it was just strange. It was just strange to me. It struck me as odd. America and Japan have a very complexly, yeah, and there was, like, I'm not going to share the conspiracy theory here specifically, but it was just a weird time. It was a weird time. And I was like, that's a conspiracy theory. And he's like, no, it's not, because my dad told me it. And I'm like, that's not how this works. I don't know how to tell you this, but that's not how this works. Okay. Figure 2 shows the proportion of respondents selecting each conspiracy. So this is, I want to see something that indicates the samples. Do they just not tell us the sample size? Do they not? What's the sample size? Do they not tell us the sample size? Where's the sample? I want to know the sample size. What's the sample size? What's the sample size? What's the sample size? What are the sample sizes? To be frank, your political system is very loud and encroaches. Yeah, I know that. I know. I'm sorry, Astral. Question is if you also get that in, like, Myanmar. Who knows? Did they hide it in the supplement? Maybe. Sample size is a conspiracy? No! Did they really not tell us the sample size? I believe there is supplemental material. Maybe I'll check that out. I want to know what the sample size is. I want to know what the sample size is. This is proportions, and that's great. We love proportion, but what's your sample size? What's your sample size? Tell me what sample size is. The sample size is your friend's dad. Release the sample size. Exactly. They have maliciously hidden the sample size from us so that they can fool us and something conspiracy theory. I'm sure it wasn't malicious. I want to know, what was your sample size? Tell me your sample size. I want to know your sample size. No! I love these researchers. I trust these researchers. I just want to know the sample size. I want to know the sample size, please.
Please tell me your sample size. I won't get mad, I promise. I just want to know. I just want to know.
Especially because this is a binary outcome, which means that you have less variability, which means that you need more statistical power to test these hypotheses, which means you need a bigger sample size. And I feel like that's especially important when you're dealing with something where not finding a correlation is potentially meaningful. Like, the bigger you're, like, we can't test negative. We cannot provide evidence for the null. But if we have a huge sample size and we can't find a correlation, that's kind of like indicative of something in and of itself, of like, we don't know if there's a relationship or not, but at least we know that it's probably not a strong relationship, you know? So I would have loved to see a big sample size. If I was writing a paper about this, I would want to list my affiliation as researcher shadowing forces amongst us undisclosed location. I wish. The journal almost certainly would not let you do that. I wish. One that's not conspiracy. Confederates fled to Brazil after losing the war and founded the city of Americana. Oh my. I don't know that much about history, to be honest. Okay. Out of the 35 comparisons presented, so does that mean so they've got 6 conspiracy theories, though one of them wasn't present in one country. They have, was it 6 countries? So 36... Yeah, 35 comparisons. So they're to say they did every conspiracy theory in every country except this one was not done in the German one. Change your name to et al. Just long enough to be credited. Oh no. Holocaust denial in Sweden increased. Interesting. I wonder why. There's probably like some reason. By contrast, we observed significant overtime decreases in 7 of the comparisons. That leaves 27 of the 35 cases with no significant change. Oh yeah, this is pretty consistent with what study 1 found. So study 1 had 46 conspiracy theories. It only found an increase in belief in one of those 46. And then the other remaining 45 was split about half and half, a decrease and no relationship. And this is looking pretty similar. This is looking fairly similar in that the majority of cases did not show any change. Only one saw an increase, and considerably more saw a decrease than saw an increase. Oh, Sweden has had a pretty major shift to the right. Oh dear. Oh dear. Yeah, so it's basically, yeah, it aligns with those of study 1. Very similar to study 1. Essentially, very, 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 very few conspiracy theories actually increased in belief over time. And in this case, it was only one conspiracy theory and only in one of the 6 countries. So only a fraction of the things that they tested actually saw an increase. And that's, I feel like that's within the, so we expect a false positive once every 20 tests or so. Once every 20 comparisons or so. Or at least once every 20, what is it? Like with if we're using an alpha of 0.05, which is the standard alpha in psychology, every 20 comparisons, we should, or so, give or take, we should get a false positive relationship. In this case, the false positive could be either positive or negative, because this is a two-tailed test, so that might not mean anything, but given that in both studies, they only find one significant positive relationship, this, we can't even be sure that even that, like, who knows? I don't know. It's like they're only finding one result that goes against the rest of the other results. We know type 1 errors happen. They've done enough comparisons that we can expect at least one of these comparisons to be a type 1 error. It could have been one of these 7. It could have been this one. It could be that they just got lucky and that 5% chance never popped up and they didn't have any false positives. They might have also had false negatives. I'm just, yeah, alpha 0.05, my beloved. Yeah, I have feelings about alpha 0.05. There are only 7 million ethnic Finns, most in Finland, about 500,000 each in the USA and Sweden. Oh, interesting. Oh, but yeah, anyway, replicate study 1. We failed to find supportive evidence during a time and in context where growth was widely expected. We recommend future studies examine trends in countries with more conspiracy theories. I am kind of curious if, like, what do they define as the golden age of conspiracy theories? Like, What time period is the golden age of conspiracy theories? Because, like, I do agree, at least in the US, the perception was they started increasing a lot in 2016, and they really started getting a lot of press in 2016. But then they also had a huge explosion in 2020, and this study, too, was specifically conducted before 2020. So, like, what do they define this golden age? Or, like, this is specifically America when they're talking about the Golden Age. It looks like most of these are probably specifically defining the Golden Age, but some of them talk about the pandemic in the Golden Age. So, like, it's possible. Like, study one did have some conspiracy theories that were after 2020 in it. Study two does not, though. And I would have liked to see some of those, because that's also part of this, of the period of time in question where people are making a claim that there is an increase. But, you know. Oh my gosh. It's fine, Xenotime. Let's try and keep, I think one of the rules is let's keep politics to the minimum. Like, if we're gonna talk about politics, let's specifically talk about it in terms of, like, when it is directly relevant to the research, and speak about it. And I'm not saying that you're not doing this Xenotime right now. I'm just like, if we continue down that road, I feel like we'll run afoul of that little rule that I have for stream. So, like, I'm gonna, like, stop us here before we run afoul of it. I think that we're fine where we are right now. I just don't want to, like, put us in the danger area. And I can always look it up after stream and sort of see what's going on, but yeah. No, don't ban Xenotime. Don't. Xenotime has done nothing wrong. I'm just being preemptively cautious. Wait, they had studied form. Yeah, I know it's a fuzzy. It is fuzzy. Did they provide their east-west definition? No, I did not see them provide an east-west definition. I don't know how much they care about the east-west definition, so. Like, I don't know if they think it's... Basically, they're only even mentioning it to try and make a case that there is some diversity in the countries that they selected. Like, in the type of... They're saying these countries, there is some diversity to the cultures and, like, the socioeconomic status and things like that of these countries they selected, and some geographic diversity. That they're just mentioning that as part of their argument for why this is a more diverse sample, and why it makes sense to have multiple countries, and why this gives us a better idea of the generalizability of this effect. I don't think drawing a clear distinction about what counts as north and what counts as south and what counts as east and what counts as west, I don't think that's super important to their point. They're not trying to categorize these things, they're just trying to say, we got countries from various regions of Europe, from various parts of Europe. I think EU definition, they have no Western Europe countries. Interesting. It's 2 a.m. Sleep! Why are you up at 2 a.m. watching this? Get some sleep. Sleep is important. Sleep is important for your mental health and for your physical health and for memory consolidation. Yeah, we don't really have Northern Europe except Northern Germany, which is not all of Germany. I see. Okay, beliefs about which groups are conspiring. Yes! So I don't know if this is so much, like, related to the initial main point of studies 1 and 2, which is, has belief been going up over time, or... But I am very interested in this. So every conspiracy theory, as I see it, conspiracy theories have to say that there is a conspiracy, that is a group of powerful people are working together in secret to achieve some sort of goal that comes at the expense of others, right? Which means that every conspiracy theory is blaming somebody. Some conspiracy theories are more vague, like the New World Order. Some conspiracy theories are very specific, like this specific company or this, like... And I've always been very, very interested. I would love to do some more research. I've done a little bit of research on it, but I would love to do some more research on specifically how people choose who to blame in conspiracy theories, and how who is blamed for the conspiracy influences belief in the conspiracy theory, spread of the conspiracy theory, that kind of thing, and like how historical context and stuff like that and group membership affects it. So I'm really excited to look at this. Like, I'm not entirely sure how this fits into the paper, or at least the main point, which was like, is belief in conspiracy theories going up? I'm not quite sure how it's related, but I'm excited. Hey, Droberthrax, how you doing? How you doing? They're called board meetings. All right, in our third study, we transitioned from beliefs in specific conspiracy theories to perceptions about which groups are likely to be conspirators. So again, I'm not really sure how this seems to fit in with like the major point of the paper. I guess it's like, if it's just like conspiracy, yeah, this doesn't really go into has belief increased over time. So it doesn't seem like it's the main topic, but I am willing to forgive that, mainly because I think that this is really interesting and I'm very excited to find out what they learned. It's probably, I guess it's framing it in terms of, well, I guess we'll read it and see, but I'm gonna guess that they're looking at how the people being blamed has changed over time. Like, have we shifted the groups that we blame for things? Conspiracy theory that I start today is that work exists to limit me from watching the conspiracy theory stream, and thus I must go to work now. I hope work goes well, Water Knight. Have a great day. I hope everything goes smoothly as possible. All right. Oh, interesting. So this is saying, like, I see. So we transition from belief in specific conspiracy theories to perceptions about which groups are likely to be conspirators. The number of groups, so this isn't about like the sheer, okay, I want to make a note for myself. So study 3, it's not about how belief has increased. It's more about the diversity of blame. So it's saying, like, it's not saying whether the number of well, how do you define what counts as a distinct conspiracy theory? Because, like, there are conspiracy theories where people have the same idea that, you know, like, this was a false flag, or like this tragic event was a false flag. Is it still the same conspiracy theory if I say different people caused it? Like, it was a false flag by, like, the American government versus by this specific political party. Is that a different conspiracy theory, even though they're both calling it a false flag, because the person who's being blamed for it changes? Or would you classify that as the same conspiracy? I don't think this super matters. But I think it's kind of the underlying thing they're getting at is, like, you could think of this almost as saying, has the number of conspiracy theories increased, in that if you define a false flag with one perpetrator versus a false flag with another perpetrator as two separate conspiracy theories based on blaming different people, this is one potential way of getting at, has the number of conspiracy theories increased? It could also just be like, has the diversity of conspiracy theories increased? Like, the diversity of people getting blamed in conspiracy theories is basically what they're looking at, but I don't know. I'm excited. This is, like, right up my alley. I'm very, 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 very pumped to see what they found here. All right, so we're agnostic. So whether it's normatively worse for people to believe multiple groups as opposed to one group are actively conspiring against them, this constitutes an ancillary test to the general hypothesis. Even though the proportion of individuals expressing belief in conspiracy theories has appeared stagnant, the number of groups and institutions that people believe are behind those could be increasing. So they're saying the baseline level of how, like, people's belief in conspiracy theories, how much they believe conspiracy theories has stayed the same. Studies 1 and study 2 show that. But it could be that that constant level of belief has spread across a wider range. Like, it's not that I believe conspiracy theories any more than I did before. I don't place any more stock in them than I did before. However, maybe I believe more of them overall. Like, I'm like slightly believe or very much believe, and that hasn't changed. I've always been at that level. It's just how many I believe. Does that make sense? It's kind of like the amount of food that I eat has not changed, but the variety of foods that I eat has increased. I think is kind of like how I might a metaphor that I think is kind of getting at what they're getting at. We asked respondents in 4 surveys from 20... Wow, they've been doing this for a long time. Holy cow. That is an 8-year period. That's hard. Which of several groups are likely to work in secret against the rest of us? Respondents could choose one or more of 9 groups. Corporations and the rich, Republicans and other conservative... have groups, Democrats and other liberal groups, communists and socialists, the government, foreign countries, international organizations, the Freemasons or some other fraternal group, and labor unions. Respondents could also select none of the above or choose not to select any of the options, which would be classified as none of the above. That's fair. Like, maybe there is some distinction between choosing nothing and specifically choosing none of the above. It could be that selecting none of the above indicates, I think it's some other group than the ones mentioned here. It could also, generally, like, things like none of the above are kind of messy. You kind of have to have them to allow that, but, like, it could mean anything. Figure 3 plots the proportion. So first, let's look at figure 2. This is the figure from the last study showing the change in belief between 2016 and 2018 across all of the 6 countries for all the conspiracy theories. It looks like, in Sweden... So the lines here, these are error bars. They allow you to see whether how much error there is around an estimate. So there's very little error, and that has stayed constant. There is some more error in the 2016 than the 2018. That could just be the sample in 2016. It was smaller than the sample in 2018. It could be that people were more all over the place in 2016 than they were in unclear. But, like, for example, see this control world in Portugal? It looks like that belief is going down, but there's so much error in 2016, and there's so little, and there is still some error in 2018. I don't know if that slope is actually significant. Do they tell us which of these slopes are significant? Because they did say a few decreased. Did they tell us which? I would love to know, because some of these you can eyeball and say, yeah, this one, there was no change. Or this one, like this Portugal hide immigrants one, it's pretty obvious for me just like eyeballing it that there was no change, but others it's kind of a bit more ambiguous of like, was there a change here, yes or no? Was it significant, yes or no? I would love to see some sort of indication of which of these are significant. With how reliably they come up with in conspiracy theories, you expect something like the Jews to be an option. I think that kind of goes into corporations and the rich, kind of, because, like, you know, stereotypes about like bankers and stuff like that would be kind of fall into that category. What decreased in Portugal again? I don't know. Did they tell us? Yeah, no, they didn't tell us. They didn't tell us specifically what's decreased or increased, but the one that I was eyeballing in Portugal was this control the world. I don't know if that's significant. I think it's probably not a significant decrease. Oh, this one. Yeah, I think it's probably not a significant decrease. Unsure. Was there one for, like, religious groups? Because, yeah, that would, No, there wasn't one for religious groups. It doesn't look like. Freemasons or some other fraternal group. Maybe people would put it under there. I don't know. I think the closest is the Freemason one. Yeah, that would be kind of like my instinct. I am kind of surprised they didn't put that there, but then again, we need to remember that, like, though I guess this is an American sample, right? Yeah, this is an American sample, so I think and I guess a European sample, I'd expect to see the same. I think that there's, how do I say this without, like, talking about a major pet peeve and getting too emotional? There are certain groups that we perceive, like, we often perceive Jewish people as being blamed for most conspiracy theories, and there have been things going around of, like, claiming that all conspiracy theories are at their root inherently anti-Semitic, and I get why that belief exists. I do. And I do think that there are quite a few anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, quite a few in Europe, definitely quite a few in the US as well. Like, definitely. But there are also conspiracy theories in many countries and societies that may not even be aware that Judaism exists or, like, that Jewish people exist. You know, I feel like that's an oversimplification, and it's very Euro and America centric to state that all conspiracy theories inherently are like that. It's very, yeah, I don't know. I have rather strong feelings about it. I'm not saying that many conspiracy theories aren't like that, because absolutely a lot of conspiracy theories are. I just feel like some people tend to forget that other parts of the world exist. when they're making statements like that. I would think that anti-Semitic conspiracies are kind of separate from the rest. Hey guy, how you doing? I don't actually think that they're all that separate from the rest. Honestly, I don't think that they are. In the way, I don't think that they're a separate brand of conspiracy theory. In some, like, I do think that you can to some extent sort conspiracy theories into types of conspiracy theory, but I don't think that specifically anti-Semitic conspiracy theories are inherently different from, say, conspiracy theories about the Freemasons or the Illuminati or shadow governments or things like that. I think that they're all, or like conspiracy theories that this other country is pulling our strings. I think they're all playing on similar fears, beliefs, and serving similar functions, if that makes sense. Any conspiracy theory can be made to be anti-Semitic, but not all theories are anti-Semitic. Yeah, Astro, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Yeah. It would imply that conspiracy theories do not exist until after Judaism is exactly, Maury. That's another part of it, too. We have our fair share of anti-Semitism, but never heard of actual conspiracy theories talked about here. Ah, interesting. I do think one of the weird things about conspiracy theories is that a lot of people don't realize how diverse conspiracy theories are. There's a lot of things that I didn't realize were conspiracy theories until, like, I actively thought about it, if that makes sense. So it could be that you do hear these conspiracy theories, CDM, but you're just not registering them as conspiracy theories. It's hard to say, you know? Like, it could be that you're totally right. It could also be there are many conspiracy theories that I hear on a day-to-day basis that people just don't realize count as conspiracy theories, you know? They were a Mason union, and their ability to keep trade secrets on construction techniques led to having meetings and organized action out of the eyes of nobles. Oh, are you talking about the Freemasons? Anyway. Where were we? Where were we before I went on that tangent?
Oh, hello, Mr. Kitty. Are you beeping? Are you beeping, Mr. Kitty? He's beeping a little bit.
Okay. Yeah. Across the 9 years, so 9-year period from 2012, 2012 to 2020. Now Judaism started, Judaism, I don't know what's going on. I don't know things.
Yeah, Mr. Kitty's here.
We're more into flat earth, anti-vax, and big pharma here. Oh, no.
Hello, Mr. Kibbo. You are the strongest cat on the universe and stuff.
You're shitposting. I see. I'm just, I don't know. I'm a wreck. Ignore me. Okay. Across the 9 years, we observe average decreases for 3 groups: corporations, international organizations, and unions. Interesting. I might have predicted the union one, but like the corporation one surprises me. I would have thought the corporation one would have stayed the same or go up. Mr. Kibby's actually pulling the strings. It's true. We should make the control world ones real and put Mr. Kibby in charge. I don't know about that. I don't know if I trust Mr. Kibby to be in charge of the world. What do you think, Mr. Kibby? Do you think he can be trusted with the entire world governments? Mr. Kibby? He's busy. He's got other more important things than the entire world right now. Isn't that right, Mr. Kibbo? You are the strongest kitty in the world. You are highly intelligent and highly capable of many good things. And you are very soft and very cute and full of scrum. This is the truth of the kitty. Okay. Average increases for 6 remaining groups. Interesting. All of which were significant. I'd vote for you. He's busy planning out how to govern our planet.
Oh, it is so good of you, Mr. Kibby. You are very, very proactive. I am glad that you are exercising forethought, Mr. Kibby. You are the smartest man in the world, and you are highly responsible, and you can be trusted. You can be trusted with the fate of our planet. Good boy.
Okay, where were we? I'm here for Mr. Kitty.
Hey, Kobe, how you doing? Mr. Kitty's here for you. Mr. Kitty's here for the world, because he's a good boy.
Okay. That said, the decreases are larger than the increases. The average change in proportion across all 9 groups of conspirators is negative 0.13. It's further reflected in the examination of the average count of conspirators that respondents selected. In 2012, respondents selected 2.56 groups on average, and 1.7 groups in 2020. The difference is not statistically significant at conventional level. I like how they say at conventional levels, as if anyone uses alphas higher than 0.05 these days. I guess I have seen it once or twice that people have used alphas higher than point of hive, but like those always felt just sketchy to me, and it's very rare. I've only seen it once or twice. I just love the phrasing conventional levels. But I guess, I mean, alpha 0.05 is an arbitrary cutoff, so, you know, fair. I get it, I get it. In 2012, so, okay. Oh, excuse me, sorry. So, for three of the groups, blaming three groups became more popular. No, wait. Blaming three groups became less popular. Blaming six groups became more popular. However, there wasn't actually a change in the average number of groups blamed. It's just that some groups are falling out of favor as conspirators, other groups are coming into favor as conspirators, but overall, the number of conspirators people believe exist has not changed. Vote for me. It can't get worse. It got worse.
Isn't that right, Mr. Kitty? That's what would it get off my keyboard, Mr. Kitty. I love you very much, but please don't sit on that. That is not your spot. Do not chew on the wire, Mr. Kitty. Do not bite the laptop, Mr. Kitty. You are the strongest man in the whole wide world. I'm flinging a toy at you. Can you please play with the toy instead of the electronics? Thank you, Mr. Kitty. You're a good boy. Okay, all right, so wait, if I'm interpreting this correctly, the main thing is number of the number of conspirators people blame has not changed, but some have fallen out of fashion and more have come into fashion. So long as Kitty doesn't put toxoplasmosis on the food period, I have great faith in him to do so. Hell yeah, I almost got a slot on the... Congratulations! Thank you, Mr. Kitty, for including me having time on the fancy microscope in your world government plan. Yeah, he's very merciful like that. He is supportive of science.
I imagine exposure to significant unconventional levels would be more common when you're studying conspiracy theorists. Not really, but take a breath. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. The strongest scapegoat in history versus the strongest scapegoat of today. Astral, please. Astral, please. Yeah, but that seems to be what's happened. It's not like the overall... People aren't necessarily blaming a wider range of people, just the people that they're blaming has changed. Yeah. And like, I do want to specify, I think we have seen an increase in the number of groups that are popular to blame people for, but the average person is not blaming a wider variety. They're still blaming the same variety. It's just like society as a whole has picked more potential conspirators that are in fashion right now. If that makes sense. We have more to pick from. Everybody has the same number of favorites. There's just a bigger menu. Does that make sense? Because I think that's what's going on here. Right. Move over decreases in the proportion of individuals expressing worry about various conspirators outweigh observed increases. So if anything, the amount of concern has decreased overall. All right, study 4. I forgot. I thought there was only 3 studies in this. I forgot that there were 4 studies in this, but now here we are, study 4. Man, study 3 was short. That was short. Look how short that is. It's like this, and then this, and then this, and then the graph. That was a very short study 3. I would have liked more information. Like, again, I would have loved sample sizes, but there being 3 studies was a conspiracy. It's Joe Uscinski of 4 years ago plotting to lower my words per minute. Plotting to lower my words per minute and throw me off of my game so that his choice, phi, wins the words per minute thing or something. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. He's trying to keep me from playing Minecraft. Dr. Uscinski, please have mercy. I want to play Minecraft. Okay. Study 4, conspiracy thinking. The 4th study was covered up by the government. I was gonna make a joke there, then I realized that's probably breaking the no politics rules. I'm gonna... Okay. Conspiracy thinking. Finally, to answer perhaps the most important question regarding the role of conspiracy theories in contemporary culture, have people become more conspiracy-minded in general over time? Okay, so have people become more conspiracy-minded over time? So I explained this concept last time a little bit, but I'm going to re-explain it now because it's become relevant again when it wasn't really relevant for studies 1 through 3. But conspiracy theory researchers distinguish between belief in conspiracy theories and conspiracy mindset, also known as conspiracy-minded, also known as conspiracy intuition, also, like, it has a lot of different conspiracy worldview. It has a lot of different names for it, but the idea is you can believe in specific conspiracy theories. Like, I can believe that the moon landing was faked. That is belief in a specific conspiracy theory, sometimes also referred to as conspiracy belief. If believing in a specific conspiracy theory is one thing, and that's what they were looking at in studies 1 and 2, was belief in specific conspiracy theories. Study 3 was looking more at the content of the conspiracy theories. Study 4 is looking at this conspiracy thinking, conspiracy mentality, conspiracy ideology, whatever you want to call it. I'm probably going to call it conspiracy mindset. What this is... Hey, Hikato Akian! Welcome to the stream. But yeah, conspiracy mindset is a general set of beliefs that you have about how the world works that make you more likely to believe conspiracy theories. This includes beliefs like conspiracies happen. This includes belief like most things that happen in the world are due to conspiracies and things like that. Oh yeah, the title's great. So just to get you up to speed, studies 1 and 2 did not find any evidence for an increase in belief in conspiracy theories over the past while. Study 1 was looking at a 52-year time span, specifically in America, and it found no evidence that belief in conspiracy theories had increased over that 52-year time span up through 2021. And then study 2 was looking at 6 countries in Europe, and they also found no evidence for like a uniform, or for like an increase in the belief in conspiracy theories overall. Even with the internet, yep, even with the internet. It's really interesting. Oh, hey, Tayu, how you doing? Yeah. So study 1 and 2 found no increase over time in belief in specific conspiracy theories. Study 3 was looking at the number of people who get blamed for the number of conspirators people are blaming for conspiracy theories, who are saying are behind it. Yeah, it is surprising, right? It really goes against, like, the intuition, and it goes against, and they made this point in the introduction, this goes against, like, a lot of the popular rhetoric we're hearing these days about, like, conspiracy theories are everywhere, and the internet is making it easier to believe conspiracy theories, and people are getting brainwashed by the algorithm, and we're in a golden age of conspiracy theorizing. You're hearing this stuff, like, all over the news from, like, commentators and stuff like that, but actually, when you go and you look at the data, and you actually do studies to check, that is not what we find. We find that it's stayed constant. I think it's just that we're talking about it more. We're just discussing it a lot more, and I do think people are more open about it than they have been historically. Well, maybe not in the entire history, but this research is outdated. It was published in 2022. It finished being published in 2021. Or, like, the studies wrapped up in 2021. But I wouldn't say it's terribly outdated in that, like, people started talking about this golden age in 2016. And in that sense, they have 2016 through the first year of the pandemic. Yeah. Like, so 2016 through mid-pandemic. They did look at one conspiracy theory specifically over the course of the, like, early pandemic in study 1, and they did not find that belief in that increased. Conspiracy theories used to be just the neighborhood you know, see, that's how we thought about them, but I don't think that's actually the case. I think that throughout history, I think that believing in conspiracy theories is just a thing that human beings do. Like, all people, all human beings, or at least the vast majority of human beings, just believe conspiracy theories. I think the reason we don't seem to realize this is because conspiracy theories the things that we think of when we think of conspiracy theories tend to be the really outlandish ones, when really a lot of conspiracy theories, especially the more popular ones, are considerably more mundane, you know? Like, most of the conspiracy theories that I believe are things that you might not even think counts as a conspiracy theory. So now there's a conspiracy theorist conspiracy. I mean, people who self-identify as conspiracy theorists have been saying that for a long time, that people are labeling them as conspiracy theorists to silence the truth, and there's a conspiracy to try and discredit them by labeling that. So there is a conspiracy theorist conspiracy theory. Oops. Oh. Like, yeah, that is absolutely a thing, Tori. Even with the pandemic, I'm surprised the number of conspiracies is not growing. Yeah, it's held pretty stable according to these studies here. And this is the second set of studies that's found this. There was another set of studies that was published in 2011 that found the same thing over a 200-year period. It's somehow scary to me. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, it's not increasing. It's staying about the same. Seems to be what all the data, the meta conspiracy, or the meta theory, the conspiracy meta theory, or the meta conspiracy theory. I don't know, to you, but yeah. Yeah. People want someone to be in control, and people see patterns even when there is none. Yeah, Dharmathax, that is, so one theory about why people believe conspiracy theories is called sort of, or it's kind of an approach. It's kind of, I guess it's a theory about why people believe conspiracy theories. We call it the existential approach to belief in conspiracy theories, which is that the idea is that we believe conspiracy theories because most of the scary things in the world are like many of the scary events that happen in the world, especially geopolitical events and things like that, often have very complex causes, and things like wars and like terrorist attacks and things like that. There's often like a whole bunch of history, a whole bunch of like complicated politics, a whole bunch of like individual factors that go into this one big scary event happening. And we as human beings want there to be explanation for things. But oftentimes in this type of environment, the explanations are so complicated that we can't really wrap our head around the full scope of it, of how this ended up happening. And therefore, it's just so much easier to say a bad guy did it. And you want the explanation, and it's just easy about this. Let's see. Am I getting the movie conspiracy theory? You probably talked about this before, but what counts as a conspiracy theory here? I don't know what the Vela incident is, so I'll have to look that up. But their definition for conspiracy theory is pretty consistent with what definitions are typically used in the literature, which doesn't surprise me, given Uscinski is one of the big names in this area. A conspiracy theory is an explanation of past, present, or future events or circumstances that cites as a primary cause a small group of powerful people working in secret for their own benefit against the common good, and in a way that undermines bedrock ground rules against the widespread use of force and fraud. Furthermore, conspiracy theories have not been judged as likely accurate by the appropriate epistemological bodies using publicly available evidence. That's their definition. I watched the movie about the mathematician John Nash without knowing he had schizophrenia. Oh my gosh, that must have been wild. Honestly, one of the most relaxing things I did was accept I just don't know everything, and things came to be just what should be going forward. Right, Astral? I think but it is hard to accept that you don't know everything, and then maybe you can't understand everything and things like that. That's difficult to, like, especially if you're someone who is just curious. It sucks to have to accept that, like, maybe there's things that have explanations that I'll never understand, or maybe there's things that just don't have a good explanation. I like the against the common good. Yeah, it's specifically saying that it has to have some sort of negative impact. If it's a conspiracy theory, like otherwise, like a surprise birthday party would be a conspiracy theory or something like that, you know? Like, I mean, yeah, every part of that definition exists for a reason. This is a definition that us conspiracy researchers have been slowly iterating on for a very long time now to try it, because, like, you see past, present, or future events, it's not just things that have happened in the past, it's also things that are currently happening, and it's speculation about what might happen in the future. It's not just events, because it can be circumstances. This is why the world is the way that it is, as opposed to an individual thing. A surprise birthday party doesn't sound like a common good thing to me. Exactly, John Vertex, and that's why they added against the common good in there. Not everyone can accept easy the fact that we don't know everything. Yeah. I feel like we always feel like we already know basically everything. Like science is almost over when no, like science is barely beginning, I imagine. I imagine that we have way long to go. We know barely anything, I think. I'll ask myself, what would they gain from that? Stadium, that's always a good question. I used to think the world was a complex mix of forces that come together to produce history. Then I found out that Jeffrey did microtransactions in the 2000s. Oh no. That makes science kind of painful for some people. I agree. I think if you want to do science, you have to know, you have to just be willing to accept that you will not learn everything. And you have to be willing to accept that you will be wrong. And you have to be willing to accept that with our current level of technology, there will be some things that we simply cannot know. And you have to be willing to accept that maybe we will never know those things. And you also have to accept that maybe most of the things that we think we currently know are wrong or will be shown to be incorrect or wildly mischaracterized in another 10 or 20 years. The thing about science is like, it's about seeking truth and ground rules for reality. But you also have to be very willing to accept that you will probably, not in your lifetime, not in your kids' lifetime, not in their children's lifetime, and maybe never be able to reach that goal in any meaningful way. And it's all resting on assumption that, of course, these rules do exist. We don't actually know if there are universal rules. All it would take is like one exception to what we think is a universal rule to show, hey, that's not actually as solid of a rule as we thought it. Like, oh, Xenotime, thank you. I'll look into that after stream. I'm curious. We don't even know even science is something that finishes. Yeah, it could keep going infinitely forever, and it probably does. Science is almost over, and we don't even know if ghosts are real. If prominent physicists are saying that physics is nearly over, we're about to enter a period where all the models get replaced very rapidly, right, Astro? Yeah. The good news is no prominent physicists are saying any field of physics is nearly over. Good. A just means new rule. Yeah. Yeah, like sciences is more about know that something is wrong to really prove something is right. Yeah, I think the way that I think about science is that we'll probably never reach the truth, if there even is a universal truth. However, every time we're probably never going to reach any kind of truth, but every day that science moves forward, we're getting closer, we're getting a better approximation. We're never going to get the truth. Like, to put it in stats terms, we're never going to know the population mean. We're never going to know the population parameters, but we can get better estimates. We can get increasingly better estimates, and sometimes we'll fuck up, right? Sometimes we'll mess up and we won't get the get estimate. But we can catch ourselves and then we can keep going. I see science kind of like a spiral. It's not a straight line as we increase our knowledge, because there will be times when we realize all our theories are like, our theories don't work, or, oh, this finding that we were relying on doesn't actually replicate, and it was like a result of like some weird idiosyncrasy of our measurement or something like that. So like we are kind of going in circles in that, like, we think we know what's going on, and then we realize, wow, we really didn't know what was going on. But it's not so much a circle, because we are moving forward, just slowly. I view science and scientific knowledge as like a spiral moving off into infinity. We are going in circles. We are constantly having to reevaluate things and scrap big like theories and scrap like knowledge that we thought previously existed and stuff. But we are getting closer to the truth, just at a very slow pace. Like, yeah. By the way, the reason my model kept glitching like that is because I'm literally drawing a spiral with my arm that you cannot see me doing, and it keeps blocking out my face. What's the fun in watching a movie if you know the ending? Yeah! I declare science overtime for science too. Oh my gosh. Oh man, I think more about refining our knowledge of how the world works rather than trying to... Yeah, Xenotime, I agree. We're just trying to get a clearer picture. We'll probably never get an exact... We won't know exactly... It's like improving drawing. A drawing will never be the same as the actual image, right? There will always be differences. But we're refining techniques to make our drawings look closer and closer and closer to what our eyes see, is kind of the way that I see it. I've seen some flat earthers that would not qualify as conspiracy theorists according to that definition. Yeah, Harry, there's a lot of things that people say are conspiracy theories that don't actually count as conspiracy theories, and there's a lot of things that people don't think are conspiracy theories that are conspiracy theories. And like, I'm talking strictly about the academic definition. There's a lot of times where I feel like the academic definition of conspiracy theory is different from the way that people use the term colloquially, like in day-to-day language. But yeah, history, but the physics that say we close agree to see if we reduce it to, whoa, so much has been happening. Science is about developing models to describe the world. Models are separate from the real world. Yes, Heatrez, yes. We're trying to create models, and those models will never be a perfect approximation of the real world, but we're trying to like sort of figure out the structure of things, and we don't have the blueprints. We're trying to recreate the blueprints in a way, and I don't know. But movies like we know the ending, it's the premise. That's true. Well, with Titanic and stuff like that, like, it's not so much about the big conclusion, it's about the details, I feel like. And yeah, the journey, and with every rotation we move forward like a drill, science is Gurren Lagann. Yes, Torg, science is Gurren Lagann, and if we go hard enough in science, we'll build enough about spiral power that we can break all the rules of physics that we thought were true, and therefore, because it's a paradox, because we built that spiral energy out of our knowledge of physics, and then the whole thing will collapse. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. We drill for science in the science mind. Oh, wow. Why did I read that Gurren Lagann comment in the... I don't even know who that is. Okay. Let's keep going.
Hello, Mr. Floofer. Hello, Mr. Floofer.
I say, let's get going, and then I immediately get distracted by my cat being adorable.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir. How are you?
Okay. The villain of that show was Entropy anyway, yeah. It's fine. You can look it up later, honestly, only Astral might recognize. Alright. A conspiracy... Yeah, okay. Wait, where were we? We were... Start of study 4, where they're studying conspiracy mindset. Just to refresh where we were at the start. Conspiracy belief is belief in a specific conspiracy theory, or specific conspiracy theories. Conspiracy mindset is beliefs about how the world works that make it more likely that you'll believe conspiracy theories. So that is belief that conspiracies are, it is possible to hide massive conspiracies. People do engage in conspiracies. Like, it's just beliefs about how the world works that makes you more likely to believe specific conspiracy theories, but it's not belief in a specific conspiracy theory in and of itself. That's what they mean by conspiracy thinking, or conspiracy-minded, conspiracy intuition, conspiracy mindset. It has a billion different names for it, but that's what they're talking about. Just beliefs about the world that make it seem more plausible that conspiracy theories do happen. Or that conspiracies do happen. Alan Bennett was a playwright from the north of the UK who would talk kind of like monotone and wrote about... Oh, I see. Okay. And now he's eating my computer again! Mr. Kitty, will we ever get to study 4? I love you, Mr. Kitty, but you can't eat that computer. I love you! Sorry, where were we? All right. How people become more conspiracy-minded? We examine temporal trends and general predisposition to interpret events and circumstances as the product of real conspiracies. Oh no, he's a good kitty. He's also a menace. He's a scamunch. He's so cute. He is so cute. He's the cutest man in the whole wide world. And he's also... Yes, by assimilating our technology, the kitty's power grows. It's true. Every day he becomes more powerful, and we need to stop him. Mr. Kitty, I love you. Mr. Kitty, I love you. Okay. It's so true. He is a kitty of the finest calibers, and we must admire and respect him. Yes. I love him very much. He is a criminal. Wow. You want to fight? Mr. Kitty? You want to fight? I'll pick you up and I'll hold you and I'll give you a little kiss, Mr. Kitty. That is how I will defeat you in battle. I'll pick you up and I'll hold you and I'll give you scritchies and I'll give you a little kiss. When will we have Mr. Kitty and Lars collab? I don't know. That sounds like it could be a bad idea. For those of you who don't know, Lars is Nepenthes VT, or Nep. She's another member of V Theorem. She does botany, horticulture stuff, and she has a chinchilla named Lars, who is a celebrity. And Mr. Kitty, I don't know how Mr. Kitty would react to a chinchilla, which makes me nervous. Okay. This analysis, so they're calling it conspiracy thinking. That's what they're calling it. I call it conspiracy mindset. They're calling it conspiracy thinking, conspiracy into like million names for this. We really need to consolidate it. It's very frustrating. This analysis, like study 3, is particularly useful because it circumvents the trapping of individual conspiracy theories. Yes. So I mentioned this like last time when we were talking about the start of the paper, but attempts to estimate what proportion of the population believes conspiracy theories have historically had a bit of a problem, where it gives you like a list of like 10 or 15 or like however many conspiracy theories and asks you, how many of these do you believe? And typically you get estimates that between like 50 to 70% of the population believes at least one conspiracy theory from that list. But of course, that list is not every conspiracy theory in the world. So you're always going to be underestimating the number of people who believe conspiracy theories by giving people a list of conspiracy theories. That's the problem that they're talking about with studies 1 and 2. Studies 1 and 2 use specific conspiracy theories. So it's not actually getting at the overall level of belief in conspiracy theories. It's only looking at the specific conspiracy theories they talked about. They're probably missing out and underestimating the actual belief in conspiracy theories. Study 1 was pretty good, though. It had 46 different conspiracy theories, so that is pretty darn good. But, you know, at the end of the day, if you don't have every single conspiracy theory, you are underestimating the overall level of belief in conspiracy theories. The idea being that this conspiracy thinking is not about any specific conspiracy theory. It's generic enough that it should be picking up more people than a list of specific theories would. Does that make sense? That's kind of the idea here. They're being like, we probably are underestimating in studies 1 and 2. This should give us, it's not going to give us a perfect explanation, but estimation, but it should be less likely to underestimate because we're not being specific enough. People who believe in conspiracy theories will never call them conspiracy theories. CDM, to some extent, I agree with that, but I do think there's a small subset of people who believe conspiracy theories who will call them conspiracy theories. The people in that subset are either so deep down the rabbit hole that they know that the things they believe are called conspiracy theories, and they think that that label's intended to silence them. The other major section of people who believe conspiracy theories and acknowledge that their beliefs are conspiracy theories, in my experience, are people who research belief in conspiracy theories. So, for example, I've said this multiple times now. My area of specialization, my area of expertise in psychology is belief in conspiracy theories. And I am well aware that I believe multiple conspiracy theories. I am one of the people who believes them and knows that I believe them and will openly acknowledge that I believe them. And I feel like, yeah, the people who will do that are generally either very far gone, very intellectually humble, or somebody who studies this who studies this in academics. Like, those are the 3 major groups. There's probably some, like, sundry other, like, types of people in there, but yeah. Just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they aren't out to get you is the classic. Yeah, Drochon. But yeah, there absolutely are people out there who believe them, who acknowledge it. Some of them are just the most hardcore believers. Others are people who acknowledge that they're not fully rational, and a big chunk of that, I think. Or at least people who research conspiracy theories are like that. Birds aren't real. Geese deliver birds. Have a good tutoring session, Comey. Take care. Okay, this analysis, like study 3, is particularly useful because, yeah, okay. So they're not bringing the baggage that individual conspiracy theories have coming into it. I do have a problem with a lot of the measures of generic conspiracy mindset or this conspiracy thinking they're talking about. I think a lot of the existing measures aren't actually as like content free as they claim they are, but we'll see. We'll see what they're doing here. And I think it is better than using like specific pre-existing conspiracy theories. But I don't know if there's a way to measure this without invoking at least some version of a real conspiracy theory somewhere in there. This analysis, like study, okay. Hypothesis 4, the average level of conspiracy thinking in the US has increased over time. So they're saying it's not that the number of conspiracy theories people believe has gone up. It's that people are more prone to believing them, or something like that. Or like, it's essentially getting around the problem where in study 1, maybe conspiracy belief was increasing. Studies 1 and 2, it's possible that conspiracy theory belief was increasing, but just not for the theories that they were asking about. This is their way of getting around that. We use 8 surveys of the US, adults fielded between October 2012, the earliest known measure of generalized conspiracy thinking on a national survey, and May 2021, to test this hypothesis. I wonder what the measure was. Which measure? Oh, here we go. Each of our surveys measure the American conspiracy thinking scale. This one isn't super common, but I get what, like, it's not really, in my experience, the standard measure of conspiracy thinking in the literature. You're more likely to see the GCBS, which is the generic conspiracy belief questionnaire, or survey, generic GCBS, generic conspiracy belief survey, scale. You're more likely to see that or the CMQ, which is the conspiracy mentality questionnaire. In my experience, those are like the 2 most common ways of measuring this. The ACTS, I really haven't seen them this much. However, they're probably relying on it, well, one, because one of the people who created the scale is the first author of this paper. I imagine that's related, but also because this was used in a national survey in 2012, and even if it hasn't been as popular in the years since then, there's this problem that we have in these longitudinal studies where you're measuring people over a long period of time called instrument decay, or instrumentation, which is, you don't know if a change, like, if they had switched to, say, the GCBS or the CMQ, like they did the 2012 measure using the ACTS, and then the May 2021 measure, they switched to something that's more widely used, like the CMQ or the GCBS, then at that point, they don't know if any changes in conspiracy belief are because conspiracy belief actually, conspiracy thinking, they don't know if any changes are because conspiracy thinking actually changed, or if it's because the measure they were using changed. So that's why it's so important that even though this isn't like one of the more common measures, at least in the papers that I've read, they had to keep it across time. That way they can be more certain that any changes they see aren't just because they changed the scale, they're because there is a change in the underlying thing that they're measuring. I hope that makes sense. But that's why. I don't know. I don't know if any of you are wondering that, but I asked myself that for a second, and then I was like, oh, that's why. So I guess I'm just sharing that out loud now. This measure of conspiracy thinking has been previously validated in numerous published studies and is strongly associated with beliefs in a wide range of specific conspiracy theories, just like the GCBS, just like the CMQ. Makes sense? Good. Basically control and try to minimize variables. Exactly, Tyler. It's all about reducing error variance. This measure, respondents were asked to react using 5-point scales, so Likert type scales. So technically, everyone pronounces it like Likert scale, and honestly, I like pronouncing it like Likert scale, but I recently learned that it's actually supposed to be pronounced Likert, and I don't like that. But since it's somebody's name, I'm going to pronounce it correctly. So it's a Likert type scale, 5 points from strongly disagree to strongly agree. So they're saying how much they agree with the statement. Numbers below 3 indicate disagreement. Numbers above 3 indicate agreement. 3 could be neutral or no opinion or mixed feelings. It sounds like we need a SI unit of conspiracy. What should it be called? I don't know. Don't ask me. I'm just a little guy. Bigfoot in and of itself is not a conspiracy theory, though there are conspiracy theories about Bigfoot. You know that famous Bigfoot film? There's a conspiracy theory that the people who filmed that original Bigfoot film did so to boost their business. Big meter. Yeah, big meter. Anyway, this measure of conspiracy. Okay, so here's the measure. This is the measure that they're using. This is the ACTS scale. Can I click on these to like jump to the part of the paper that they're in? Is that, because you could do that in Mendeley and it was super nice. Can I not do that in Zotero? That makes me very sad. Yeah, a reverse Scooby-Doo. Yes, a reverse Scooby-Doo, basically. That's the conspiracy theory about the Bigfoot tape. I forget if the guys who created it actually admitted to that. I don't know if it's still a conspiracy theory or if it's actually just a known conspiracy now. I'll have to look into that again. Anyway. So how much do you agree? Even though we live in a democracy, few people will always run things anyway. So good thing they ran this in the US, because like if you don't live in like, I mean, there's many democratic countries or like pseudo-democratic countries, but if you ran this measure would only really, this item on this measure would only really work properly in a country that considers itself democratic. Those who really run the country are not known to the voters. Again, probably only really works in, but then again, Uscinski historically has, and it's called the American conspiracy thing. That's probably why it's not as in common use, because a lot of conspiracy researchers, there are a lot in the US and America, but there's also a lot of conspiracy researchers in the UK, there's conspiracy researchers in the Netherlands, there's a contingent of conspiracy researchers in Australia, so it makes sense that the GCBS and CMQ are more commonly used, because this one's specifically designed for Americans. I see. A group claimed to be the people who invented crop circles, and they're still, yeah. Oh, my country's technically a theocracy, but we're chill about it. Okay, big events like wars, the recent recession. I hate that, like in 2012, they were probably referring to the 2008 recession, and I hate that the recent recession has been still relevant multiple times in the time period when they were doing this study. Oh, we sure do live in a society. And the outcomes of elections are controlled by small groups of people who are working in secret against the rest. This is really interesting. I would love to see this item on its own, because the outcomes of elections, well, I guess, no, like the 2008 election was, no, there's always been voter fraud. It just became more mainstream in 2016 because actual politicians were openly spreading voter fraud conspiracy theories. But there's been voter fraud, like, I remember one of the first elections that I was ever aware of really had a major conspiracy theory about voter fraud in that, and like the outcome of the election being part of a conspiracy. It was all over the news, the whole hanging Chads thing back in the day. Anyway, where were we? Much of our lives are being controlled by plots hatched in secret places. They are controlled by a small group, but it's just the people in swing states. Astral. It distresses me that you're correct, and it also distresses me that you're correct and you're not even American. The problem's so bad that even y'all know. I have never lived in a swing state xenotype. My vote matters for local elections, but national elections... I shouldn't say it doesn't matter. You know what my vote does a lot in local elections. My vote does not do quite as much in national elections because I'm not in a swing state. And I've never been in one. All right. Responses were averaged into a unit-dimensional and statistically reliable scale. So what this means is that all four of these, they made fun of hanging chads in Japanese video games. Oh, that's wild. Future of our nations depend on how people in Philadelphia think of. Here, Brazil, we like to make fun about the way you guys vote. That's fair. That's fair. I'm not even upset. That is so fair. Should I explain the whole hanging Chad thing, by the way? Are y'all curious about the hanging Chad thing? Or should I explain that, or should we just keep reading? I hear we're talking about Lars. Yeah, we talked about Lars in a little bit. We were talking about Lars meeting up with Mr. Kibbe, and I was like, I don't know if they'd get along. I don't know if Mr. Kibbe and Lars would get along by sheer virtue of their species. Aww. They're roughly the same color, though. Lars and Mr. Kibbe are roughly the same color, so they have that going for them. Anyway, so hanging chads. So back in the day, when you were voting, no politics in chat. Yeah, keep like opinions about politics away from chat. So Chad was a term. So back in the day, rather than voting on machines, what they would do, well, I guess they were machines, but rather than voting being electronic, what they would do is they'd give you a paper ballot, and you would use this like sort of stylus thing to punch holes into the paper ballot, and that was how you voted. That was how you indicated who you were voting for. A hanging chad was when the hole punch didn't go all the way through, so a bit of the paper was still hanging in the back, or like on the ballot. And yeah, the hole punch thing. Yeah. And so people were like saying, when there were these hanging chads, when the hole punch didn't like properly get the piece of paper completely separate from the punch, some of those votes were simply like not being counted, and it became a whole thing. Yeah. Oh, Xeno time. Yeah. Yeah. Do you ever just like stare at the wall and just walk into 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 the wall, and then you just walk into the wall, and then you continue to just walk into the wall, and but would that only matter if there's bias in the hole punching? Potentially xenotime. Like if it was, I think the hole punching was more likely to be in certain polling districts. The main problem was a lot of these hanging chads were happening in a specific state, that it was happening in Florida for the most part, and Florida ended up being the state that decided the election, which meant that the count in Florida was likely inaccurate because of these hanging chads, and the Florida count is what decided who won the election. So it became a whole thing. Yeah, there was a lot going. It wasn't just hole punching, it was specifically where that problem was happening. That was the main issue. Well, the Supreme Court ended up, the Supreme Court did end up deciding who won that election. But like, that was like, Florida was like the major, was supposed to be the state that decided the election, and the Supreme Court only ended up deciding the election because there was weirdness going on with that, I think. If I remember correctly, I was very young when this happened. I was imagining everyone had the same hole punch problem. I don't believe so. I don't believe, or at least it was more widespread in certain areas. I remember that, yeah. It was, I don't remember the details too well because I was pretty young and I didn't really care about politics at that point, but that's how I remember it. I'm probably getting some details wrong, but that was, to the best of my knowledge and recollection, that's more or less what happened. Yeah. So basically the whole point was that, yeah, voter fraud conspiracy theories didn't just start in 2016. There were some major ones happening, like, I wasn't, shut up, Astral. You're gonna cause me physical pain, Astral. Okay. So here's the statements. Unidimensional scale means that all four of these questions seem to be measuring the same underlying thing. Yeah, they're phrased differently, but they're all like getting at the same underlying thing. They're all measuring the same thing. That's what it means by unidimensional. Statistically reliable means that all of the items, again, were measuring the same thing. There's a bunch of different types of statistical reliability when it comes to scales, but blah, 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 blah. Across the 8 surveys, so 0.76 would be considered good reliability for a Cronbach's alpha for a scale. 0.86 is pretty darn good. These are like acceptable ranges for alphas for scales. What Cronbach's alpha is doing is it's essentially another test of like, it's a test of, are all of these 4 questions measuring the same thing? The closer Cronbach's alpha is to 1, the more confident you can be that the questions in a scale are all getting at the same thing. If you have a low Cronbach's alpha, like 0.5 or something, chances are that maybe question 1 is measuring one thing, question 2 might be measuring something else, and it's essentially, Cronbach's alpha is calculated as like the correlation between all the items with each other. If it's high, then all the items are probably measuring the same thing. If it's low, you thought all these questions were asking different things but different. Why do I stream it? Elijah, I'm sorry, but this is actually a pretty early stream time for me. Usually I would start streaming in about an hour from now. Like, sorry, it's time zones. It's time zones. Time zones are brought. Yeah, it's a nice test, time. We use it a lot in psychology for scale validation. It's like one of the gold standards ways that we validate scales in psych. See appendix for details. So they do have additional information. Yeah, unfortunately, time zones are a thing. I'm sorry. And also the rotation of the Earth and day-night cycle. It sucks. We examine the predictive validity. So predictive validity is, does the scale predict things that it should predict? In this case, this is a conspiracy thinking scale. So how much, or like conspiracy mentality. So do you think about the world in such a way that is conducive to believe in conspiracy theory? So I imagine that the predictive validity is, does their score on this scale predict how much they believe specific conspiracy theories? Let's see if I'm right. Let's see if I guess right. Respondents in the upper third of the ACTS express belief in more than 3 times as many specific conspiracy theories than those following. I was right! So people who are scoring high on this scale also believe more conspiracy theories. People who score low on this scale believe less conspiracy theories. So this has predictive validity. It's predicting something that it theoretically should predict. Don't have to worry about time zones if the Earth is flat. Oh boy. Too bad then. 14 conspiracy theories versus 4 respectively, even controlling for, I wonder how many theories they had. But yeah, scale's looking good. Scale's looking good. Long story short, scale's looking good. This is probably a good measure. Predictive validity aside, we do not claim that conspiracy thinking, as measured here, is the causal explanation for conspiracy beliefs. Instead, we propose that the measure is a proxy for a general propensity to believe conspiracy theories. Yeah, that sounds about right. It could be believing conspiracy theories makes you form conspiracy thinking. It could be conspiracy thinking makes you more likely to believe conspiracy theories. It could be a feedback loop where both of these things reinforce the other. They're not making any claims about which comes first or what causes the other. They're just saying that this is just like, it's kind of like getting at a generic tendency to believe conspiracy theories. That's all. That's all they're really claiming. It's like basically generic store brand conspiracy theory. How much do you believe it? And this wild theory that the Earth is actually not a sphere, but an oblate spheroided big globe covers this up to save costs of manufacture. Oh, Astral, is that even a conspiracy theory? Okay, anyway, figure 4 plots the average of the ACTS for each survey, along with the 95% confidence intervals to fit the OLS. So OLS is ordinary least squares regression. It's a statistical test of trying to fit a relationship, fit a model to the relationship. The beta is negative 0.45. P equals 2.69. So just to highlight trends or lack thereof. So this kind of spoils what I was about to tell you. Beta, you can think of beta as a bit like a correlation coefficient. Negative indicates a negative relationship between the two variables. In this case, the two variables are the year that the survey took place, between 2012 and 2020. And the other variable is conspiracy thinking or conspiracy mentality. A negative relationship here, so this beta of negative 0.45 would indicate that as the year goes up, so as as time passes, conspiracy mentality goes down. However, the p-value is greater than 0.05. It's not significant. So that indicates no significant change, or we don't have enough evidence to claim that there's any significant change in conspiracy mentality over time. Well, we do observe a significant increase. I'm adding the significant from 2012 to 2016. It is substantively small, only at 0.17 units on a 5-point scale. So they do see a significant increase, but significant is not the same as meaningful. Statistically, it's unlikely that this was a fluke. It's unlikely that this was a false positive. That's what that means when we say significant. However, the increase is so small that was there any actual observable change that had a meaningful effect on the world? Maybe, maybe not. It's not clear whether this was like a change that had any meaningful impact on reality. It's likely a real change, but did it actually change the course of like people or whatever? Doesn't seem likely that it did. Is kind of the idea. As I want to see the means, because like, is this a move, like even this slight increase, it could just be that you're moving from strongly disagree to a little less strongly disagree, right? This doesn't even mean that people started believing more. It could just be that they started disbelieving ever so slightly less. We don't know until we see the means, I think, but yeah. Actually, I ended up reading about how oblate spheroid was proven from a rabbit hole when scripting for the 67 asteroid. That's so interesting. I'm very excited for more of your videos, Astral. Astral, for those of you who don't know, Astral Atropos is one of my VTuber children, and he's recently started posting videos about planets and moons and other space object stuff. I don't know the correct terminology, but you should definitely check out his channel. It's pretty cool. He posted his first video this week, I think, maybe. And I watched it. It was good. I need to rewatch it because the version I watched was cut off at the end. But yeah, check it out. Check it out. Check out Astral. Shout out to Astral. Some people believe the Earth is hollow and we're living in the inner surface of it. Wild. The Glove decided they did. Can you shout him out? I don't know. Is that a thing I can do? Shout out. Astral. Pose. I don't think I can, but I'm gonna type it like it's Twitch. I'm gonna pretend that that's a thing I can do. Yeah! Yeah! Okay. All other time points display averages that are statistically indistinguishable from 2012. Oh, that's interesting. So it's not that it went up between 2012 and 2016 and then stayed constant. It's that it went up from 2012 to 2016, but then every other time point is also indistinguishable from 2016. So I wonder if there was just more, or from 2012. So I wonder if it was just that there wasn't that much. What did I do? Is there a way to do it? Am I a fool? What have I done? But basically, it's possible that even that... What? You're stressing me out. Can I... Oh, if I had, like... It sounds like there's a bot. Sounds like there's a bot I can install that I don't have installed that I could use to do shoutouts, but I'm just... I don't... Frantic violent noises. It's just a little... I'm just a little guy. I'm just a little guy. Have mercy on me and my soul. Ask Mr. Kitty. Mr. Kitty, do you know how to give a shout out on YouTube? Mr. Kitty did not even acknowledge me. Mr. Kitty didn't even flick his ears. Does Nightbot connect with YouTube? I don't know. But it seems like there is a bot that connects with YouTube that can do this kind of thing, but I don't really know what it is. And I don't have it working right now, but I'll have to see if I can make that work after stream, I say, knowing almost certainly that I will not do that because I'm lazy and I'm tired and I'm stressed. Sorry. Yay. Let's keep reading. Let's keep reading. Okay. So basically every year except for 2016 was the same level as 2012 or even lower than 2012. Couldn't you just post the link to his YouTube channel? Tyler. Stop being smart. Stop being smart. Stop being smart. Stop being smart. Just not allowed in this chat. It's not. No, it's illegal. It's illegal. Anyway, that's my child. That's my son. Check him out. Where were we? I'm gonna fight you. Dr. Uscinski, if you're watching this, please don't judge me. Dr. Uscinski, you have seen and heard nothing. Authors of this paper, just edit out everything except for when I'm reading and commenting on the paper from your brain. Please. I'm begging you. If you ever watch this. Please. Please. Have mercy on my soul. Anyway. Where were we? We were reading, right? So this seems pretty consistent, honestly, with the first two studies as well, because the first two studies also only found one indication of increase, and then everything else was indications of, like, well, no evidence of any change whatsoever, or indications of decrease. And this finds the same thing. There's only one time point interval where there's an indication of increase. Every other time point interval was either no indication of change or an indication of decrease, which is wild. Okay. In short, we observe no average increase in conspiracy thinking over time. So they haven't found an increase in specific conspiracy theory, in believing specific conspiracy theories in America, belief in specific conspiracy theories in 6 countries in Europe, the number of conspirators people are blaming on average, and they haven't even found a significant increase in belief in conspiracy, in generic conspiracy belief, or conspiracy mentality over time. If anything, they have found more indications of a decrease in all of these things than an increase. They found it roughly equal evidence of a decrease and no change, and very, 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 very few indications of any potential increase, despite the popular narrative in the media that there is an increase. This lack of upward trend is disconfirmatory of the central hypothesis that conspiracism has increased over time. We note, however, the average levels of conspiracy thinking are potentially concerning, even if they're not increasing. What were they? Show me the means and the standard deviations. What are we? Are we above the midpoint of the scale? Are people on average agreeing with these statements? Is that what you're saying? Tell me your stories. Tell me your story. Oh, there it is. There it is. We can see it right here. Therefore, researchers should continue investigating the scope of conspiracy thinking and develop strategies for addressing it. So, they don't find... So here's our graph. X-axis is the year that the measurement was taken, 2012 through 2021. The Y-axis is belief in conspiracy thinking. I have a new conspiracy thinking levels have remained steady at 99.9%. It's not that bad. Okay. So, this is the midpoint of the scale. Oh, this is our midpoint of this. Is there a way to draw a straight line? Screw it, I'm taking out my tablet. Okay. This is the midpoint of the scale. This indicates neither belief or disbelief in conspiracy theory, or like in this conspiracy mindset. Numbers lower than here is they disagree, generally speaking, with these statements that are related to conspiracy mentality. This is agree. And the purple line in the middle is neutral. So what this is indicating overall is that as for conspiracy mentality over time, there hasn't really been much of a change. So each of these dots is the mean conspiracy mentality during a given year, and the little lines around the dot, or the little vertical lines through the dots, are the 95% confidence intervals. Sleep well, Kikato. Thank you for dropping in. Okay, but yeah, so the little lines are the 95% confidence intervals around this, and the fitted, and this black line is the fitted line of the relationship. Only one of these things, this is the 2016 observation that they mentioned, is significantly, indicates a significant increase. It is significantly different from the 2012 line. So this means their estimate of conspiracy mentality did actually go up between 2012 and 2016. Oh, thank you, Kikato. Thank you. The rest of them are either statistically the same as 2012, or at least they are not statistically distinguishable from 2012, or are statistically lower than 2012. But at the end of the day, people are, on average, slightly agreeing with these statements that measure general conspiracy belief. Oh, that anomaly was me. I was into conspiracy thinking in 2017, and I single-handedly... You must have, like... Wow, I've got a paper to share with you? Oh, sure thing, Nap. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see the paper. Please do send it to me. But yeah, okay. Cool. That's interesting. So on average, everybody has slightly agrees with these statements. Or like the average population slightly agrees with slightly agrees with these statements. So they're not neutral on them. They don't disagree on average. People slightly agree, which I honestly makes sense to me, knowing that the majority of the population is willing to endorse at least one conspiracy theory out of a list of like however many. And real conspiracies do occur. So it wouldn't be, I don't think it would be even completely rational to completely disagree with all of this, if that makes sense, because like sometimes stuff like this does actually happen, you know? But yeah, it is interesting. That is interesting, but there's no indication of an increase. If anything, there's a slight indication of a decrease over time. through 2021. From 2012 through 2021. All right, numerous cross-sectional polls. So we're on the conclusion now. Numerous cross-sectional polls show that large numbers of people believe conspiracy theories, and online conspiracy content is plentiful. Perhaps because of this, many scholars, journalists, and policymakers are concerned about conspiracism is increasing. I remember when we first started reading this paper last week, we're all kind of like, yeah, my intuition is that belief in conspiracy theories has increased. And like the only reason I wasn't willing to say that outright was because I read the Uscinski and Parent 2011 paper where they didn't find an increase. But even then I was like, well, maybe things have changed since 2011, right? So we were all kind of, I feel like most of us were on the same page where we were like, yeah, I think it has increased. But if anything, this paper has shown no evidence of an increase. In fact, very little evidence of change. And what evidence of change they have found, for the most part, is showing a decrease. However, little systematic evidence demonstrating such increase has been produced. As one journalist at Vox put it, there's no hard evidence that conspiracy theories are circulating more widely today than ever before, but it certainly seemed like the average Americans have bought into them more and more. I do wonder if that's just, it's not that they have increased, it's just that they're more visible. You know? It's honestly kind of remarkable it's that stable. I know, right? Well, I figure, you know, when you think about it, there's always something going on. Like, you know, when we look back at the past, sometimes it feels like, oh, there's more happening now than ever. But that's just because the things that are happening right now are more salient to us. We're more aware of them. We forget of things that happened in the past. So it feels like there's a lot going on. And I think to some extent there is. But there's always something happening. And like, we do still believe conspiracy theories about events that have already passed. And in some cases, long past, you know? So like, from that perspective, it kind of makes sense that it hasn't changed all that much, you know? Like, I think, and kind of what they were indicating in study 3 is like maybe the topics of these conspiracy theories have changed, but the baseline level of them has not really changed all that much, or at least we don't have enough evidence to say that there's a change. I shouldn't interpret the null. We also have the greatest and quickest access to information as it happens. True, Astral. Something 24-hour news, international connections, etc. Exactly, Tyler Null. And also just people oversharing more than ever. That too. We're feeling more comfortable sharing things that maybe they wouldn't have shared before. All right. Is the fact that conspiracy theories became subject of a sustained research program only around 2010. Yeah, that's true. Like, there were a few papers on conspiracy belief before 2010. But, like, people didn't really start, like, it was usually, like, 1 or 2 off papers before 2010, where like, some researchers who really, their main focus was something else entirely, took, like, a quick detour to do maybe 1, maybe 2 papers related to conspiracy theories. People only really started studying this as their main focus around 2010. Joe Uscinski, who's one of the first authors of this paper, was one of those people who really started saying, okay, this is going to be my thing. Around that time period. Regardless, claims about increases in conspiracy theory beliefs must be both testable and falsifiable if they are to be taken seriously. Minimally, hypothesized increases should be detectable using standard methods, such as but not limited to polling. If such hypotheses cannot be substantiated with supportive evidence, they should be appropriately qualified, refined to match the available evidence, or abandoned. So like the available evidence does not currently support the idea that there has been an increase in belief in conspiracy theories over time. Across 4 studies, including 4 distinct operationalizations of conspiracism. So the first was a set of 46 conspiracy theories. The second was a set of 6 completely different conspiracy theories that weren't included on that initial list. The third was not about the specific conspiracy theories, but who was being blamed. And the fourth was conspiracy mentality, not specific. So like they've done 4 studies in at least 7 or 8 different samples with 4 different ways of measuring belief in conspiracy theories, and not a one of those 7 samples, not a one of those like 50-something conspiracy theories, well, only 2 of those conspiracy theories that they measured, if I remember correctly, like they see no systematic evidence across all of these different samples, across like these different ways of measuring conspiracy belief, that conspiracy belief has increased in a systematic way. Temporal comparisons spanning between several months and 55 years, so they have varying time periods. The oldest comparison they made was like a change over a period of 55 years. The shortest one was I thought it was 2 months for the shortest one, but I'm not sure. And tens of thousands of observations. I wish they'd told us our sample sizes more. I wish they'd told us more about our sample sizes more. But yeah, from 7 different countries, we found only scant evidence that conspiracism, however we measured it, had increased. Although beliefs in 13 of 50... Was it 13 out of 52 conspiracy theories? Because they did see an increase in 13 out of 52 things, I believe. But I thought they only saw it increase for 2 conspiracy theories, and the other 11 were misinformation that didn't quite qualify as conspiracy theories. I'll have to go back and check, but including these increases do not constitute sufficient evidence against the null. In fact, we identified more decreases than increases, and the decreases were bigger changes than the increases were. So not only did they see more more conspiracy theory belief going down than going up, but the decrease in belief, they were bigger decreases than the increases were increases. So they're seeing more decreases and stronger decreases than there are increases when they're seeing anything at all. I need to be somewhere in the morning, so go to eat, fun, sleep. Sleep well, Astral. Have a good night. Take care. Only a quarter of the conspiracy theories we examined found more support over time, none of which involve COVID-19 pandemic or QAnon, contradicts common wisdom. The baseline levels of, admittedly, they only had the first year of the pandemic in the data set, but still, that would have been at the time when the pandemic was at its height, when the discussion of it was at its peak, when people were the most stressed about it, because that was, specifically the lockdown period, really, the baseline levels of conspiracism we observe are concerning. I think they're saying it is concerning because it does trend towards slightly believe. And social scientists should continue efforts at correcting them. By the same token, our finding that conspiracy theory beliefs are not generally increasing has implications for discourse. Claims that beliefs in conspiracy theories on the rise suggest that a new factor is to blame. A lot of people have blamed the internet. I think we even discussed that possibility in chat. Or that a meaningful change of an old factor has occurred. In this vein, social media has perhaps erroneously taken much of the blame for increased belief in conspiracy theories, and they're citing... They're citing news, which has implications for policies regarding content moderation and absence. And we have seen this. We have seen proposals in laws. We have seen changes that various social media sites have done specifically and explicitly to try and reduce the spread of misinformation and conspiracy theories, with the end goal presumably of decreasing belief in conspiracy theories and misinformation. And I think a lot of that was based on the preconception that belief in conspiracy theories has gone up over time, and then that was because of social media, but this data contradicts that belief. However, we do not observe supporting evidence that belief in conspiracy theories or generalized conspiracy thinking have increased during the internet social media era, which, again, their longest time interval was a 50-some year time interval, so that was before social media, through the rise of social media, and they did not see an increase associated with that, it appears. Admittedly, it was only a before and after. Well, I don't know. Was it before and after? They might have had multiple time points for that theory because it was such a long period of time. But anyway, instead, our findings comport with arguments that the internet may be less hospitable to conspiracy theories than assumed. Maybe because it's easier to get information. They are trying to suppress the truth. Maybe the internet does make it... The internet absolutely makes it easier to get information. Whether that information is good quality is another matter entirely, but it does make it easier to get that info. Our findings also comport with studies demonstrating that online conspiracy theories, infodemics, and echo chambers may not be as widespread or influential as sometimes claimed. Woo! And are reflected of studies arguing that people are not engaging with or sharing conspiracy theories online as much as sometimes assumed. Finally, the patterns we observe align with the broad literature on conspiracy theory beliefs, showing that people are unlikely to believe a conspiracy theory unless they are both already predisposed to believe theories generally and inclined towards content of that particular conspiracy theory or the source from which it emanates. Yeah. Some of the big predictors of conspiracy belief are, one, of course, conspiracy mentality and conspiracy thinking, just beliefs about the world that make you think that conspiracies are more plausible, and two, prejudice against other groups. and also things like difficulty, pattern detection and things like that. But every truth is untrue, social not. Anyway. In other words, online conspiracy theories might not persuade as much as reinforce. So yeah, it's not that these are like converting people to believe conspiracy theories. It's just that for people who already believe them, they're just helping that belief maintain. Our findings are congruent with the latter process more than the former. That said, our investigation has limited. Every study is no study's perfect. Every study is going to have problems and limitations to its generalizability and stuff. They only looked at conspiracy. Oh, take care, Xenotime. Thank you for joining. Thank you for coming in. We cannot make claims about conspiracy theories we did not investigate. So yeah, they did look at over 50 conspiracy theories, but that is far from a comprehensive list of every conspiracy theory that exists. Who would have thought bigotry might lead to unjust blaming? I know, right? See? Who would have thought? This is a fun stream. I learned a good bit too. I'm glad. My voice is, my throat is getting sore from talking too much. I'm glad we're nearly at the end because I am struggling. I'm in a small amount of pain right now. All right. We acknowledge that many claims about increases in conspiracism are often vague and could mean numerous things. So they did try several ways of doing that, but get some Dr. Pepper. I've finished my Dr. Pepper for the day. I'll get some water after this. Just blink and Morse. My blink detection is kind of buggy, so I don't think that that's a reliable way of doing it. Typos in Morse code. We further acknowledge that no single study can pull in all political contexts. So political context is a major predictor of conspiracy belief in some ways. Some beliefs not included in study 2 could be increasing in all 6 so they just not a comprehensive list of all the potential things that could be going on. We note that most of the polling of conspiracy beliefs was taken in the US during the last decade, so they do have going back as far as 55 years, but most of it was more recent, considerably more recent than that. Efforts to comprehensively measure conspiracy theory beliefs in national polls across the globe are only slowly emerging, so this is not widespread practice. They were working with limited data. More work outside the US is needed to test our central hypothesis more comprehensively. They do have some pretty darn good data from the US specifically. They do have data from outside the US, those 6 European countries, but that is considerably more limited than the US data, and also that was only in Europe, and only in some parts of Europe. Moreover, we implore caution in making sweeping inferences from our findings. As per any paper should say this. This should just be a standard line in any research paper. This should be true of any research paper, always. I'm glad that they're saying it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that they don't need to say this, but like, I think that this is true of any paper. Our study should not be used to make claims about or to excuse the behavior of political elites who weaponize conspiracy theories. Move over the trends in coverage of conspiracy theories by news outlets or in rhetorical use of conspiracy theories by political elites fall outside the purview of our investigation, as do the use of conspiracy theories by fake news purveyors, though we recommend that researchers continue to pursue these topics. It's Bird Brains. Hey, Aggie, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. We're not going to be going for too much longer. We're in the very end of the paper, and also my voice is giving out. But thank you for dropping in. Questions regarding the growth in conspiracy theory belief are important, with far-reaching normative and empirical implications of our understanding of political culture, free speech, internet regulation, and radicalization. That we observe little supportive evidence for such growth, however, operationalized should give scholars, journalists, and policymakers pause. It's okay, I just woke up. Good morning, Aggie. Good morning. Welcome to the day. So yeah, there has been a lot of attention to this. Maybe the growth is not the aspect we should be worried about, because we don't have much evidence for growth. This is not to dismiss the availability of conspiracy theories online, which is fair, yeah, they are very available online, the large numbers of people who believe in them, or the potential consequences of those beliefs. So we're not saying that that's not an issue, it absolutely is. Nor is it to preclude the possibility of increases in the future. So this is saying we don't see any evidence of increase now. Who knows what will happen in the future? And I feel like that's kind of one of the reasons this paper even exists, because they didn't find, or Uscinski and Parent didn't find evidences of an increase in their 2011 paper, or their 2011 working paper, and that became the 2014 book chapter. But they still had to do the study because, you know, time marches on and things change, and you never know if that trend is going to stay constant or something has happened that made it not stay constant. Nor is it in ways not tested here or in other socio-political contexts. It may be that conspiracy theories have been a constant, but that scholars, policymakers, and journalists are only recently this is kind of what I was saying. Like, I think this has always been a thing. However, it's just that they're more visible now, we're more aware of them now. That's kind of what I think might be going on here, but I don't know. Thus our finding, like, I don't have any data to speak to that. Thus, our findings offer both good and bad news. Good in that conspiracy beliefs are not increasing across the board. Bad in that they may be more of a persistent and ubiquitous feature of human society than is desirable. Yeah, you know, like, honestly, that does not surprise me. It does not surprise me. I think like, I've thought this for years based on, like, a lot of the papers that I've read, a lot of my own work, and just anecdotal observations, that the average person has... Conspiracy belief is way more widespread than the average person thinks. Not necessarily because it's been increasing. This paper doesn't show any evidence of an increase, but just it's always been that way. It's just always been that way. It's just part of the human condition that we believe conspiracy theories, and that's just who we are. And I feel like most people don't realize that, and I think a big part of that is because most people only think of, like, the really wacky stuff when you talk about conspiracy theories. Like, you know, lizard people and stuff. When I say conspiracy theories, most people think of, like, lizard people, when really there are many conspiracy theories that are considerably more plausible than that, and belief is way more widespread than most people seem to think. Basically, it's the same consistency, but it can be a lot more vocal in the modern age. Yeah, Tyler, no. I think that's the case, or at least it's a lot more visible in the modern age, because, like, maybe it was equally vocal back in the day, but because without the internet, you know, just it wouldn't spread as far. People were still talking about it just as much, but it was like, maybe, you know, you couldn't see conversations between other people back in the day nearly as readily as you can today. So we're seeing them more often, but that's not because they're more common. It's just that it's easier for us to see conversations, if that makes sense. It's not that they're more visible, it's just that we have more information. Or it's not that they're more common, it's just that we have more information, and therefore it's easier for us to see them, I think. Of course, again, I don't have data for this, but this seems like a very plausible explanation for this to me. This mismatch between perceptions and what the data's showing. Scholars still have much to discover about the psychology of conspiracy theory beliefs, as well as the role that elite communication and information environment play in promoting those beliefs. Elite communication being, like, yeah, visibility bias. Exactly, Dwarmorthrax. I think that's pretty much what's going on here. It seems like it's happening more, but that's just because, well, one, we're paying more attention to it because it's become a more mainstream topic, and two, it's just more out in the open, just because everything is more out in the open. In the meantime, we recommend caution in sounding alarms regarding the golden age conspiracy theories and the degeneration of society into a post-truth era. To be fair, like, this degeneration of society, they don't necessarily show any evidence related to misinformation as a whole. Conspiracy theories is a very specific niche. Misinformation is a lot broader and doesn't fully overlap with conspiracy theories. So Sturgeon's law applies to people's belief in how the world is run. Hey, Doc Rex, how you doing? Maybe. Sturgeon's law, that's the one that's like, 90% of everything is crap, only 10% is good. That's Sturgeon's law, right? Usually used for, like, entertainment media. At least that's the context I've mostly heard it in. Yeah, I think that's, yeah, I don't know, maybe. I think at this point, I've been talking for 2.5 hours straight, and my brain is a little fried. So I'm sorry that I can't give you an adequate answer to that, because not only have I been talking 2 hours straight, and my brain is fried, I also taught today, so this is at the end of a long day for me of stuff, so my brain is dead. But I think when I have some time to rest, I'll come back to that, because I do think you might be onto something there. I don't know. Sorry. If you are interested, again, This paper, there is a link to this paper in the description of the stream. It is an open access paper, so all of you should be able to access the full text of the paper. It looks like they have supplemental material or supporting material. This gives you more information about the polls and analyses. I'm imagining it probably contains more information on the sample size, which we didn't get a whole lot of information for some of these studies. Yeah, so if you're curious to learn more, check that out. All this good stuff. References. We did it. The paper's done. We read the thing. Hello, Mr. Kib. Strong man. Mr. Kibby is here. For me, it is now dinner time. I don't know about all of you. I might make myself some soup. Nicely done. Thank you, Nep, and thank you for joining, Nep. It was so lovely to see you. So lovely to have you here. All right, I'm gonna go. Oh, soup mentioned. Yeah, I say soup. What I really mean is instant ramen. Throw some mixed veggies in the instant ramen and call it soup. Yay! All right. And Mr. Kitty wants to play. Still soup? Yeah, still soup. Hell yeah! All right. We've read the paper. Thank you all for joining me on this journey. This was great. I will not be having a paper reading stream next Thursday because I will be at an academic conference. So no stream next Thursday. Thursday after that, though, I believe we should have another stream that will be on a different paper. I'm not sure what. These are the papers that I've identified so far. I might add some new ones. I don't know. But it'll probably be another conspiracy theory paper. So I'll see. Don't forget to like and subscribe. No. And on Saturday, again, I will be doing this stream to raise money for Hope for the Day, which is mental health awareness and suicide prevention nonprofit. I'll be playing Pico Park in a team with Captain Beezy, Sidarian, Horatius the Dwarf, and we are going to lose horribly. But if you want to see a really, really genuinely pathetic showing, check us out. It should be entertaining if nothing else. Horatius is great. Yeah, Horatius. I've barely talked to him, but from what I've seen of him on social media, I've popped into his streams a couple of times just to watch, and lurk there. And I've talked to him a little tiny bit leading up to this, and I've heard about him from Sai. He seems like a great guy. Yeah, Niall do. What's the charity for? It is Hope for the Day. It is a mental health awareness and suicide prevention nonprofit group. Yeah, you'll do great. Tyler, were you here when I explained why we wouldn't do great? That is the Pico Park being a thing that requires teamwork and coordination. One, the only person in our group who has actually talked to everybody else in the team is Sidari. I have barely ever talked to... Okay, yeah, most of us have never really talked to each other, so I don't know how we'll do as a team. And the other part is not a single one of us has ever played Pico Park before. So, in fact, I don't know if Sai has even watched any gameplay. I don't think Sai even knows what the game is. I think she's aware that it is a game, and there will be teams. Last I had heard from her, she has never watched any gameplay footage, so she has no idea what the game is or how it works. And I only barely do. I've seen people trying to play it, it's absurdly chaotic. Yeah, I've seen a few videos of people playing it, so I at least have some idea what's going on, but I've also never played a cooperative game before. At least a cooperative video game before, so I'll be in my comments posting skill issue. Good, Tyler. It will be a skill issue. It'll be all the skill issues combined. We are going to invent skill issues that you have never seen before. We will have more skill issues than you've ever imagined, and I'm looking forward to it. That will be the appeal of our team. Okay, anyway. Thank you all so much for dropping in today. It has been lovely having you. I had a lot of fun reading this paper. It was a super cool paper. Mr. Kitty. Yeah, and so not next Thursday, but Thursday after this. Looking forward to your newsletter, the skill is shut up, Phi. Hello, Phi. Hello, Phi, but also shut up. I say this with all the love in my heart. But yeah, maybe I'll see you on Saturday. And then Thursday after next. Yeah, thank you, Maury. Yeah, it was a good paper. Big fan. All right. Yes, Mr. Kitty, I know. Okay. All right, I'm gonna end the stream. Thank you all so much, and I will see you maybe on Saturday, maybe Thursday after next. Bye bye. Bye 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 bye.